Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is kind of a more open discussion kind of thing on the George Floyd verdict. Unicorn Cat and I just had some things we wanted to talk about. First, a little bit of information. Unicorn Cat is autistic and they are nonverbal at the moment. That helps. And they're going to be using an app to do the talking for them. So don't be surprised if at some point, or some points, probably going to be more than one, during the live stream, I stop all of us from talking so they can get a word in edgewise. So, Tria, thoughts and feelings about the guilty on all counts verdict?
Oof, I think I might not be popular here, but I am glad because it's what should have happened as far as the trial itself went. But I also see a shitload of work ahead. So while I see it as a small win, I also see the massive amount of bullshit we have ahead of us. It's not done.
I don't think that's remotely unpopular.
I don't know. I've had some people that I'm acquainted with who have expressed the same opinion, and watched them get dogpiled. So,
like, dogpiled by who? Right-wing nut jobs? Sean Hannity.
well,
Like, there's no problem. He's guilty.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, I can understand. Like I said, I think where I'm coming from is I am right smack dab in the middle of several different Twitter. And so I see a lot of things, and it's not all right wing people. Some of it's just people who want relief so badly they want to celebrate. And when people are not celebrating at the same time as them, they have to go and trash the other person. But yeah, I like Chauvin got what Chauvin should have been, convicted. But I feel like some people are wanting to go back to normalcy so bad that they're willing to accept that as a viable solution to everything and go back to not caring. And I'm already kind of sort of seeing that from some people. It's only going to get worse as the week goes on. But
okay, Unicorn Cat has something they would like to say. Let them finish typing real quick.
Yeah.
It's better than what normally happens, which is paid leave and an award, so to speak. Some justice is sadly more than what I was expecting. Right. Things should not be normal yet, though.
Yeah, same here. Cops should not get paid leave. And frankly, something that I really think needs to be changed is if a family sues a cop for any abuse, the city itself should not pay for that. It should come out of the cop's pension.
Yeah, I actually think I'd be okay with that. I mean, like, if you want someone to behave in America, you have to hit them in the wallet.
Unfortunately, yeah. And there's more to it than that, but a lot of times what winds up happening is the family wins a civil trial, and then everybody acts like that's justice, quote unquote. And then the money comes out from the city, not from the cop who did the abuse.
Unicorn Cat says they agree. I had to mute real quick because the dog is barking in her sleep. Lucy.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't sure if Unicorn Cat was about to use her AAC, so I was being quiet to check to make sure I wasn't about to talk over. But yeah, it's like I said, I've already seen, including my own family, be like, it's time to go back to normal, and I'm just like, no.
Normal is what happened to a 15-year-old girl like 10 minutes before the Chauvin verdict was read.
Oh.
Yeah, if you've been paying attention to the news, hang on, Unicorn Cat.
My pronouns are he, they, just correcting you. I know you did not mean to.
Weird. Okay.
Ah.
Yeah, he, they pronouns. Yeah, again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, there's no malice there. I know you well enough to know that. But yeah, just like going forward. Godless Sewing will be joining at some point if I'm understanding this correctly. But I mean, I don't know why he's throwing on a shirt. Him coming on shirtless would probably boost my channel.
Will is kind of good looking. Not gonna lie.
He's a good looking dude.
But yeah, but yeah, I heard that, and I like, for me, I'm like, what the fuck? Because I live in a state where damn near everybody carries a knife. It's just what we do. In fact, some schools here don't even enforce the codes that say don't bring knives in, especially in our more rural counties.
Hang on.
Wait, knife, not gun.
The person who was killed, the girl in Columbus, I thought it was over a knife.
I don't know if, like, I haven't seen anything from the police or a medical examiner. All I've gotten is information from like stuff family has posted and people who
Okay.
are at least alleging to have known the girl.
I always carrying guns, not knives. That's new to me, but who knows?
Okay. I am sorry. I have my earbuds in, and sometimes it is very, very difficult for me to hear. Oh, what did they say?
The thing said that they've heard of people carrying guns, not knives. That's new to them.
Well, see, like, I heard what little I've heard trickling in the middle of all of this is that the girl, the 15-year-old girl, was killed over carrying a knife. And like I said, to me, that's so fucking strange because that's just common practice down here. It's common practice in several states.
Yeah, from what I gathered, the video from 10 TV News, which is just a local news outlet here. They can't change the voice without paying. But what I'm assuming this all took place in the area that this was filmed. It's a pretty well-off area. Like the reports I saw were that this girl called the police and she was defending herself, and the police decided to shoot her instead, or she called for help. So like it doesn't seem like the kind of neighborhood. Appearances can be deceiving, obviously, but it didn't seem like the kind of neighborhood people just kind of carry weapons around. Unicorn Cat.
She was calling the police for help because she was being attacked, and the police saw her as a threat because she was defending herself. Go figure, all black people are threats,
Yeah, that. I wish that wasn't fucking typical. I really wish that we lived in a different timeline at this point.
Yeah, it
But-
kind of feels like the darkest timeline, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it reminds me of when, because I threw down with somebody because they were like, well, that's not Islamophobia. And I'm like, yes, it fucking was. But a while back, I remember there was a guy who moved back from India. He was a Sikh. He moved back from India to take care of his kid while his kid was going through cancer. And this kid was like, not, well, I say kid, but like adult child. But anyways, the family lived in a nice area. And so the father needed a break and he went walking around. He was probably, I think he was in his like 70s or 80s, and he had a turban on his head. And so, because he was in a nice area, because he had a turban on his head, people assumed, because they don't know the fucking difference and doesn't really matter anyways when it comes to hate, they assumed that he was looking for a place to rob because the elderly gentleman hadn't lived there for very long and got lost in the neighborhood, and and the cops came, beat him up, and hospitalized him.
Of course they did.
Yeah. And he was like, all I was doing was just trying to figure out, how to get home. Because he was like, I had been here for like a week or two, hadn't really had chance to get accustomed to the place. And because he was a person of color in a nice neighborhood in the middle of, I think it was Alabama or Georgia,
There it
the
is.
cops just assumed the worst.
How's it
Hi.
going?
Well, thank you. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing all right. Quick notification of rules. Unicorn Cat is autistic, and
I was watching earlier.
Okay, so can you read that?
And for I work with people with special needs for a living.
Can I just go to Jess now? Non-verbal episodes for me at least is stress-induced, and this is making it worse.
Okay. Do you want me to have her come get you? Okay. 1 second. Yeah, they're nonverbal at this point, and that's pretty stressful. So I'm gonna text a friend real quick to have them come get Unicorn Cat.
Okay. I hope you feel better soon, Unicorn.
Absolutely.
But
So how's your take, Andrea?
It's been interesting. I have basically done nothing but be a vegetable and try to keep up with as much news as I possibly can.
I've been avoiding the news on purpose.
they want to say something real quick.
Okay.
Non-verbal episodes are stress-induced for me, so it'll be fine once I start celebrating 420 long.
That's quite literally what I'm feeling. That's why I'm here. I wish you guys lived closer to me. It's legal in California.
Oh, I think even if it became legal here in Florida, I'd still not be allowed to use it. They'd probably find something, be like, yeah, no. You're a 24/7 medical employee of your little sister, even though we force you into a schedule, and blah, 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 blah. Frickin' Florida.
It's for me because medical am physically and mentally disabled, and it helps.
It helps me very much so. It helps me very much so.
I have to be careful how much mental information I give out. Cause yeah, if they suspect that I can't take care of my sister because of mental stuff, I lose my job. So
It's understandable.
So yeah.
To answer Purple in the chat, like Pot doesn't necessarily help me sleep, but it gets me to a point where I stop thinking about all my problems, so I do sleep. You know, so I eventually.
Unicorn just asked Purple how they are.
But yeah, and some good news. It looks like the crappy ass trans bill got discarded in Florida Senate. They basically looked at people who were criticizing the bill and said, maybe we need to table this one.
Good
So,
gets fucked as it is.
yeah, it was fucked that they even put it on the table in the first fucking place. I won't be surprised if people just boycott ever coming to Florida ever again, because it was that bad of a fucking bill.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any intention of going to Florida.
I mean, it's home, but I'm sitting here going, home is trying to kill me. I'm not 100% sure about this shit anymore. So, am I able to see YouTube comments? Yes, actually I am.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, if I was just in another state 18 my age would be too young to start my transition, and it's bullshit. I'm a grown adult, let me transition if I need to.
So I don't want to tell you anything that I'm not trying to endorse anything, but Cal, it's not like that on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Pick a state, or even for as red as Oregon is, they're super lefty in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, I would prefer Oregon to Ohio.
It is in the south
True.
of the south.
Oregon is Pacific Northwest. Or are you talking about Alabama? Florida?
I'm talking about Texas.
Ah.
Oof, yeah. Texas
I did Texas for my military training, and that was enough. That was enough.
I have family in Texas, and y'all know I try to get along with people, but my family in Texas I don't talk to anymore. I talk to one family member in Utah, and that's because I question why the fuck she's even still Mormon. Because she's just that cool of a person. I don't know what she's doing in the Mormon church.
I'm considered a complete heathen in my family, so it works. So I don't talk to anyone. It has improved my life.
Unicorn Cat's got something.
The schools can now legally check kids' genitals if they suspect the kid is trans. What the fuck to what Purple said?
Not yet.
No, that's the law that got tabled if you're talking about Florida. I don't know.
And the one in Arkansas too. I think it was Arkansas.
Yeah. I was trying not to be too specific because I feel like weird even saying it, but yeah, the one down here in Florida where you can be accused of not being cis and go to a doctor for a private inspection, that got tabled. The GOP in my state realized in the Senate that if they did this, they were going to lose a lot of money and possibly be voted out. So they tabled it. They didn't do it because it was the right thing to do. They basically said, no, this is going to hurt us way too much. We're not gonna.
So in Florida, is it 50-50? Like when you have votes, is it a toss-up if you're going to be red or blue?
It is actually it is actually kind of a toss-up because we are 50-50. The problem is that in rural areas, in the cities, it's pure 50-50, and usually the Democrats win by like a small margin. But if you go out to places where, like where I used to live in Alusty.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only a few things you need to know about Alusty. One, there is a population of 600 people. Two, there is one gas station and one stoplight. Three,
Wow.
there is a Confederate battleground. Four, there's hunting grounds. And five, within half an hour of Alusty, there are 5 prisons.
That's California's like that too, though. We build more prisons than schools here. Northern
Yeah.
California, if you go on any highway, there's at least there's like a real prison like where people are doing life every 45 miles.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's why the state leadership does not want, or state government does not want people who are felons to vote, because in these areas, and like I said, it's not every rural area, but it's a lot of them, especially if there's a quote unquote battleground nearby. The prison populations are heavily by POC,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want them voting because they know that they will vote out Republicans.
It's the same here in California. The only difference is that people can vote. It's the same problem here in California, disproportionately.
Yeah.
We have people.
So those rural areas that you look at that vote red, they are voting red. Those percentages look high, but it's because they've thrown people in jail to keep them from being able to vote. And it is purely based on skin color. You cannot fucking tell me otherwise.
It's really weird for me to hear that because we fight the cops here. Like, I'll tell the cop to their face to F off.
Yeah, the thing is that, like, if you're living in a segregated town that is based around Confederate battle culture, the people left behind to fight the cops are generally other white people.
No, I totally understand.
Yeah.
I understand. I have family in Savannah, Georgia, and I went there, and it's a different planet than where I'm from.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Well, and that's the thing, is it's not as pronounced here. It still happens here, but you have a bigger mix. And also Jacksonville is so fucking spread out. It is a huge ass city. If I were to hop in my car and go from my end of town to the end of town opposite me and go to the other limit, it would take me up to an hour and a half to do so.
Oh, wow.
And that is with traffic being good. And by good, I mean we're going 70 miles an hour down the highway. Good.
That's LA style right there. Same complaint.
Yeah, but the thing is that, like I said, here in Jax, there's a reason why politicians come down here all the time. And it's because if you don't pay attention to us, we could flip from Republican to Democrat and vice versa. So everybody comes through Jacksonville when they're campaigning. In fact, people, hey, Pasta Babe.
How's it
Hello.
going?
Hi, thanks guys for letting me join you. How you doing?
Great. Another exciting
All
day.
right.
I'm drinking iced coffee out of a Slurpee cup, and I'm about to light up my joints.
Right
I
on.
wish I had some 420, but beer will have to do.
I'm one of those people that when I smoke that stuff, I turn into a paranoid nutso. So I just gave it a shot twice, and then that was it. Yeah.
Okay,
That was it for me.
I agree with you because I have issues. I'm the same. I'm the exact same. Okay. So when I go to the dispensary, I tell them I want the old man stuff, and I smoke and I'm functional. So you know,
Okay.
because the newer stuff that's in a laboratory, it makes me paranoid. Like I don't eat edibles anymore because I started having a crisis every time I eat an edible.
A crisis.
See,
I understand.
I'm assuming the old man stuff is high CBD and low THC. Is that what you mean?
Well, it's like it's so different. Like in California, we have THC caps. So when it started, THC could have gone all the way up to 100. So it's basically I want to say under 23%, 24%, something around there. They really don't, like, some have CBD, but it's not as, I don't know, it's hard to, it's because I go to like the cheap cabinet too, because I'm old, so I buy more. So I'm like, I want to, this shake, I want this, you know, because I don't want to keep having to come back.
See, I've got chronic pain, so I just want CBD so it goes away.
Yeah. And I voted for it. You know, I'm here in California as well. I voted for it to be legalized. I know enough people that it benefits their lives. And see, for me, that was 1980. So when that happened to me, and I was like 16. So it was like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to go there. But thank you for telling me that, Godless.
Oh yeah, you can grow up to 6 plants at your house. I have 6 plants. you
fuck it, why not?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's awesome. I can't wait until you know, and it's improved my backyard. I've completely redid my backyard. I cut all the trees.
It improved his backyard. That's great.
It improved the life of my backyard.
You gonna start a micro dispensary? Instead of a microbrewery, do a micro dispensary.
Oh, gee.
Good, man.
I'm not opposed to it. Let's just put it that way. I'm still kicking myself. I knew somebody in Oregon back when I drank. This was years ago. They were kind of telling bar stories. I was in a bar with them, in a no-name bar in the middle of Oregon, and they were like, I live on property. I'm gonna start growing pot because when it becomes legal, I'm gonna be rich. Do you guys want to invest? And we're like,
you want to invest?
We're kind of laughing at him. Now he owns the second largest. He's basically the second largest grower in Oregon. So I kick myself every time I think about it. Like,
no, that had red flags all over it, hon. That was red flags. It was like almost undercover cop kind of red flags. You know?
That's what I'm saying, though. See, and because of where I'm from, I don't beve a damn thing anybody says most of the time.
Right.
But he's rich as hell now.
You know, good for him.
Like micro growery, and I'm like, that's a fucking industry term.
You know what? Though, if I were ever allowed to grow in my house, I wouldn't be able to because everything dies around me, with the exception of stuff that is set it and forget it. Like the only thing that I haven't killed off yet is I got lemongrass 8 years ago. And my lemongrass hasn't died. Everything else has.
Well, that's impressive, girlfriend. That's impressive.
My ginger just died.
Oh,
I have lemongrass, but I feel like I water it too much. And when it gets all huge, I look like SpongeBob's house. I love my lemongrass. It grows in front of my house. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's also really good for keeping mosquitoes away. We used to have several plants for that, but it helps with keeping mosquitoes away.
I did not know that.
Neither did I. Fascinating.
Yeah, that's why I have it all
info.
around my. That's why part of why I have it all around my house. That and lemongrass is good for using for all kinds of shit.
I put it in my tea.
Oh yeah, put it in the tea. If I make any kind of curries or anything, it goes in there. They make great skewers.
It's strong as hell too, though. The stuff that I have at my house, it is so strong. I have to warn people, like, cut it up in pieces, or it'll make you ill if you eat too much.
Yeah.
What does it taste like?
Fruit Loops?
Really?
Mine
my
tastes
God.
like Fruit Loops. It's
Really?
Okay, I have
Mine
to
don't.
say, I'm
well, it's
so
really
gullible. I might believe you,
no, it's
but
really
that's
lemon.
true.
It's really lemony. So like I see the thing is
It's lemon and mint, but you don't have the sourness of the lemon. It
Fascinating.
doesn't have the sour taste of the lemon, but
And,
it's
like-
like a cross between the lemon and the mint.
exactly. My son and I, like, he doesn't know any better, so he walks around eating the stuff. Like he'll walk up and pick it and eat it. But he grew up around it, so he doesn't, it's one of those things. I
He's
think
developed
Yeah.
a taste for it. That's cool.
I grow grapes too. So
Do
it's
you?
it's not rare to watch him go in the backyard and grab a grape. I was actually hanging them today, hanging all the grapevines and stuff.
That's awesome.
So I don't want to diverge too much because this is supposed to be like Derek Chauvin's shitbag, fuck all cops that are like him,
Actually,
rest in power
uh,
George kind of thing.
I am actually fuck all cops. Period. But that's just
Yeah.
I
No,
have,
I'm not.
I
I'm
have,
not.
I have cop friends, and I still think most cops are assholes. I come
well.
from a
Here's the
family of I come from a family of people that like were either cops, ranch hands, or blah blah blah. All actually all served in the military, and every single person who was a cop, like my uncle is a complete asshole. My other uncle is another complete a-hole. There's a mentality. But the one thing I appreciate about my uncle is that he hates everybody. It's not about race.
Yeah. Well,
He
here's
hates
my
everybody.
He's an equal
Here's
opportunist.
He's just
my
an
Hater.
asshole. Just an asshole.
here's my thing on that.
Okay.
I don't think that necessarily every cop is a bad person, but they've created it to where you cannot make meaningful changes from within. And when you do that, there's a certain level of corruption that you have to deal with and put up with in order to continue being so. And in that case, that needs to be busted up and either reformed or we need to do something else with it. Because every story I've heard about a cop standing up, they wind up getting fired or worse.
Standing up,
So,
meaning
meaning if you turn your partner in, you tend to get
gotcha.
attacked.
There
I
is that
actually-
culture, the blue
I have
culture.
a-
Yes.
Yeah.
A good friend who was a Texas Ranger witnessed a man who was beat almost to death, basically, reported it and was fired within 3 hours of reporting it.
Yeah, and that's fucking common. Like, that's not the exception. That's the rule.
Mhm.
And when you
I
have
agree- I
that,
agree
that
with you.
entire system needs to be torn apart.
And
And that's
he had to
I
move.
remember-
He had to leave the state of Texas. Sorry.
It's okay. I just remember hearing a story some years ago. This Marine who was fairly recently discharged at the time became a cop, and because he had the audacity to talk someone down, a person of color specifically, because he had the audacity to talk them down instead of shooting them, he was
He was what?
fired. No longer a
What?
cop in that department.
So
Because
that
someone.
was an expectancy.
I guess, at least in that department. But Linda, you mentioned
my
having
gosh,
a
okay.
really controversial opinion in the last
Okay.
question. Could you expand on that, please?
Okay. So I'm in agreement with the culture of blue. You cannot stand up and say and turn any fellow officers in if you see anything going down. That is forbidden. But what we saw during this trial of David, Derek, I keep wanting to call him Chavez because that's just what it comes to mind, and I know it's wrong. So I'm just going to call him Derek, okay? Because I can't say his last name correctly. So Derek. Now, what we saw during that trial of him being on trial is many people within the department did not be loyal to him. And that was impressive to see. That was very impressive to see. They're like, nope, we don't train people to do that. That move, no, we do not. But the point and part of discussion I would like to bring up is because, okay, I was raised a Jehovah's Witness, and this is a high control authoritarian culture, okay? And within high control authoritarian cultures, what helps people remain loyal and obedient is to keep them in a stage of constant tactical alert, because they're easily more influenceable, and you can direct them easily, and they'll comply more easily. This is a tactic that cults pretty much across the board use. So as an adult, I have my phobias. You know, many people who have been in authoritarian relationships, even abusive partners or whatever, tend to have phobias. And from what I understand, it's pretty much based from trauma. So that's why I'm correlating the two. What I noticed and what did not get brought up was the point that George Floyd was cooperative, you know, as he was handcuffed and set down on the side of the road before he was brought over in front of the cup store. He was pretty much cooperative, and he let him know, people dealing with him, he has been shot before. And when it came time to put him in the back of that car, the SUV cop car, he says, "I'm claustrophobic. Please don't put me in the back of that car." He begged them and begged them. And this guy that was there on the side that was just trying to be a good dude, "Look, buddy, you got to cooperate. You got to work with him. He's just being a good dude." You know, he's saying, "Dude, come on, work with him." He's like, "I'm not fighting him. I'm claustrophobic." I didn't catch that anybody around George even had a clue what being claustrophobic even is, what that experience is like. It was like he kept saying it, kept begging to not be put in the back of this car because he's claustrophobic. I ended up looking up claustrophobia for the symptoms and such. And that is considered actually a disability. Okay, so there's that. And symptoms, you tend to hyperventilate when you're claustrophobic. And I know this is not new news to many of you, but let's think about this. You put somebody who's claustrophobic in a closed situation, they might freak the fuck out, right? They might freak the fuck out because they're hyperventilating, because they're in a situation that is a phobic situation, okay? As they pull him out of the car, and what was so awesome about this trial was just how many angles and videos was all put together for us to see so many things that happen bit by bit by bit. As they pull him out of the car, I believe when he was in there, he's, that's when they were considering him combative at that point. I think he even hit his head on that center divider, which I believe is like a plastic or something heavy, thick thing. I think he even hit his nose up against that. Just, you can't relax when you're in that heightened fight or flight mode of panic, right? So as soon as they pulled him out, before he even hit the ground, he's saying, "Thank you, thank you, thank you," right? Then they lay him down and do what they do, or did what they did. My thoughts are, when you're hyperventilating, or when you go through a panic attack, or, have any kind of anxiety disorder, you got to, it's helpful to, after that event, to kind of get yourself centered, to calm yourself down. And then you learn your techniques or whatever, breathing, this, that, and the other. Of course, that was not given to George. And so when he's saying he can't breathe, I believe it might be because he was still hyperventilating. Okay. And that then turned into a physical situation where he could not breathe. Now, that's what I could clearly see, simply because I have phobias. Okay. He mentioned he was shot. Yes. That might be a traumatic situation for him, right? So but even before that, just from childhood, there could have been some traumatic events in his life that could attribute to this possible claustrophobia. I don't know what did. I just know he said so, and it was not taken into consideration. And what that tells me is they were not equipped to take that into consideration.
Oh, no, they never are. In fact, if you look at the statistics, 50% of cop killings actually involve disability because they do not fucking know how to handle disability at all. And if you are black and disabled, if you are black and disabled, you are even more likely to have something bad happen with the cops because they already see you as a threat, because they already see citizens as a threat. They've shown this time and time again. They've made their job into a fucking identity.
Absolutely.
And then because of that, because of the stereotypes that go around about BIPOC, the moment they see somebody who's BIPOC, their hackles are raised, especially black people. They see them as a threat. And then you throw in disability where they don't know how to fucking handle it. And it's the tragedy winds up happening.
I agree. Yeah. So thank you for confirming that, you guys. So I went into, after looking it up as, seeing that it's a disability, found myself in, the Disabilities Act and realizing that that works for people who are employed, that your employer should make some accommodations for you if possible, if say you're claustrophobic. And I read one article about how someone who worked in a hair salon said, I'd be fine if I'm in one of these stations, but it's open air enough for me. Well, eventually they put her in like another station that wasn't okay for her. She then requested another open air area, and they just got rid of her ass. Okay. She sued the fuck out of them, and rightly so. And this was Regis Hair Salon, or a salon under Regis. So this is something that's supposed to be accommodated within a work situation. Then I looked a bit further to find out if this is something that is supposed to be accommodated for those that become arrested. And I found a blog that pretty much said it did, but it sounded like they were quoting things from some certain case that I have not followed all the way through. But so I believe that, and I don't have all the definition, I don't have all the confirmation for this. I believe that while in custody, people need to be they need to be considered if they have mental disabilities. Now, there was a portion in today's trial where I think it was today or yesterday, where they brought up this paper where it talked about Derek's defense, just kind of reeled off the different situations that were supposed to be taken into consideration. And a mental disturbance or something to that effect was on there. So I looked that up, and that falls into mental illness, which is, disability. And so claustrophobia is like a mental illness disability thing. This is something that I get that not every officer is going to understand. But my thing is, they need to have some kind of thing called to where a person who is educated enough to de-escalate the situation would be able to help the situation. So where I'm at so far in my research is that when the ambulance shows up, they might be able to do that, but I'm not real clear yet. So there.
Yeah, I honestly,
that's where I'm at in this.
I honestly feel like that's not going to happen unless we start from scratch, to be honest, because it's just that bad at this point. But
okay,
that's just me. Also, I am in no way saying that how cops handled this was in any way warranted, and I don't think Pasta Babe is either, but I just want to clarify, because if he did have a panic attack, that's still no fucking reason, because I know that there's going to be some asshole out there, not necessarily in our audience, but some asshole out there will be like, well, he shouldn't have had a panic attack. Nah.
Yeah, then they don't
No,
understand how
it's
phobias work.
It doesn't
Mental illness
fucking
functions.
matter. It doesn't
Yeah.
fucking matter. The knee should have never gone on the neck. Period.
No, I agree.
End of story.
I agree. And this was something that wasn't brought up in court. So I don't know if the state maybe saw that as a possibility and thought, nah, we're going to go with this route because that one might be harder to prove. I don't know. But to me, it was just so evident. Like, holy crap.
Well,
this
justice
happens
is
over and
slow.
over again. Yeah. So I'm just wanting more awareness towards that because that's what I was witnessing. And I'm just like, oh my God, wow. You know, and then of course, being with my background, many of us suffer from different mental illnesses because of what the culture we grew up in. So I guess it's like I have a special empathy because I suffer from it too. And it's quite challenging, you know, quite challenging.
Yeah. I'm, like I said, I have been kind of diving more and more into disability spaces because I want to do better for my little sister. And that was a fucking wake up call when I did.
Yes.
Because a lot, when this stuff, when we talk about police shootings, there's always people screaming in the background that cops do not know how to handle people who can't understand orders, especially if you're screaming at them, or can't hear you, or don't respond quick enough.
Mm-hmm. People that are on the scale of autism, you know.
Yeah, there is somewhere in the ballpark of no sensitivity or awareness training for people who have mental illnesses or anything like that for police. It almost doesn't exist. I mean, if Unicorn Cat were here, they went through law enforcement training much more recently than I did, and they would say none, if maybe very little, exists. So
well, and then you have
none whatsoever.
And then you have stuff like they might be familiar enough with American Sign Language to figure out that, hey, somebody's signing. Sometimes on rare occasions, but Black Sign Language often gets confused as gang signs because it is different. And that also plays a part sometimes, especially with older people who were not allowed to learn Black Sign Language or not allowed to learn American Sign Language.
Okay. So, yeah. So wherever Scratch is, starting from scratch.
Yeah, that's why I'm huge.
You're kind of on that route too, then, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm basically, we need to disband the police and figure out something else.
I'm not in agreement with that. And unless they're going to build it back up more properly, I don't think. I mean, just what would be what's your?
I'll do you one better. I think short of the of course, it's always a good part.
Oh, yeah, he's got a call.
Aunt Jer, so there were, back when schools were segregated and they had deaf schools, they would send Black children to Black deaf schools and not teach them American Sign Language. So Black teachers and Black students came up with their own version. And it's not in use as much anymore. But there are still some people who speak Black Sign Language.
This is fascinating.
Yeah, I didn't know this until recently. But it's different enough that, and especially like we said, when you already see a Black person as a threat, it's different enough that they don't know the difference between that and American Sign Language and assume that the black person is throwing up gang signs.
You know, I wish I could just be like, oh no, that couldn't happen. But as soon as you said it, it was like, oh my God, that probably could
they
happen.
basically were trying to keep black deaf people from trying to be able to communicate. I don't know what time period this was. I just know that there are still some people alive who speak that particular language.
Okay, so let me ask you again. You were saying so what would be a solution after your suggestion regarding the police?
Honestly don't know. But here's the thing. I shouldn't be the one coming up with that solution. I say we refer to BIPOC to let us know what solution works best, because they're the ones most affected.
Okay. Because I've never gotten truly the impression that defund the police means to totally get rid of it. I think it means
it's
possibly tear it down and start over.
It's two different things.
What's two different things?
Defund the police is different from abolition. Defund the police is taking the money. Abolition is an entire movement based on getting rid of the idea of imprisonment, which tearing down the police completely is part of that.
Oh, that falls under abolition.
Police.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
What you just shared, your opinion falls under abolition? Is that what you're saying? Okay, thank you. That helps me
now,
understand.
Defund the police is separate. Defund the police are people who think that the police should still exist, but not have enough money to really do much of anything except for maybe do a couple of minor things. They feel like that the money should be spread more towards community support, education, like mental health,
right,
homelessness, those sorts of things. They're two different things. Now, some people think that defunding can be a step towards abolition, but they are in fact two different things that different groups are asking for.
Okay. Today's the first time I'm hearing this abolition talk. I tell you,
I don't consider myself
I'm interested in it.
I don't consider myself an abolitionist. I'm still learning. I am starting from the point of, if things are that corrupt and you're looking at it and there's a certain point where you can't reform something, it needs to be broken down and started back up.
I agree
with.
And I think we should do that with the entire system, with everything. Every branch of anything that has United States of America on it should be torn down and reviewed. Everything.
And
you know what? That's a really good point. Because they're very behind in things.
After the stream, I will go on my account and give some people that I follow, because even if you don't agree with them and what they're saying, one, they have more fucking experience and learning than I do. They know more about what's going on than I do, and have been researching and formulating their ideas for fucking years.
Right.
I will go onto my account on Twitter and give off a list of people I think you should follow.
Well, I'm interested in this thing that I'd never heard of until today. Something that might have some history to it.
And the thing is that's why I'm saying I want to go on my Twitter, is because
so definitely send me some links, girlfriend.
I am, like I said, I am still learning and putting my own opinions together.
Right.
And I don't know half of what these people know. I don't know, and I don't have the same experiences as they do.
Exactly, because we haven't experienced it. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean the position I take, at least right now, is more of a defund approach. And the way I would approach defunding is no money for militaristic shit. Cops don't need AR-15s. They don't need the fucking tanks that they have. You know, I mean, for decades, pistol and a shotgun works. Now we need more tasers, actually, I think.
Actually, I think guns should be completely taken away from cops, but that's just me.
I mean, I think guns should be taken away from the vast majority of private citizens, but that also is a different thing. But I mean, like, that there is no need for a police department to have free use of, like, fuck. I actually think that some police departments have better protective armor than people in the military. I mean, holy shit! Have you seen some of these fucking cops?
Oh,
well,
yeah.
Last June I did. Yes, I did. It was all over the TV, man. It was like, whoa.
We have the LA County Sheriff's has a fleet of helicopters. They have tanks. Every single sheriff has full gear. That's from the rookie to the person at the desk. You know, every single person.
I live in a military town, and I can guarantee you, when our two bases here decide that they're done with equipment, but it's not so busted it can't be used at all, guess where it goes?
Oh yeah,
police, obviously.
Yeah.
Where?
The police. The police can just go to our two military bases and be like, "Hey, you got any leftovers we can buy?"
Yeah.
Now this reminds me of, I don't know. Okay, you ever notice just before Christmas? I don't know, October, November, the police officers will put out this whole buyback guns thing, and you get, you know, some McDonald's certificate or a Walmart or something as an incentive, right? I've always been intrigued how they call it a buyback, which implies it belonged to them in the first place. But that's the mindset, right?
No, I agree. Or the fact that they give you like pennies on the dollar. Imagine how much a gun actually costs, how much a rifle actually costs, and then you give it to a cop and they give you $50 worth of McDonald's. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
You've got to be kidding me.
I mean, you know what? Hang on a second. Let me go grab mine real quick.
Firearms in general are not cheap. Are not cheap.
Yeah, and haven't been in the market for one, so I believe you.
Even in hunting ground areas, they're still not fucking cheap. Like, it's not. And like I said, I lived in a city where I lived in a small town where I could walk 5 minutes and I was on hunting grounds. And even then, guns were not cheap.
Yeah, so right now, unloaded, by the way, you can see all the way through.
Thank you for practicing safe gun holding, or whatever that's called.
Yeah. Little boy here is a Smith & Wesson M&P military and police 45. It fires 45 caliber bullets. My round of preference is the Zombie Killer, which is a hollow point that has a rubber tip. So, little boy here ran me about $450. That's how not cheap guns are. This compact, made for concealed carry, but I don't have concealed carry, so I don't concealed carry, was really expensive. I mean, huge out-of-pocket expense that I had to save up for.
Okay.
So my my Ruger 1022 cost about the same, about exactly the same. It's like around $400.
No.
That's not cheap, and that's without all the accessories on it.
Yeah, and mine actually came at a discount because I'm a military veteran. $450 was discounted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I figured you'd gotten a discount. But yeah, I always wonder about how people can get their hands on so many guns.
See, I'm sorry, finish. Go ahead.
No, I don't remember, so it's all right. Go ahead.
Okay. So when I worked at Walmart a few years ago, I was in sporting goods. I sold guns. My location was one of the ones that did that still. Oh shit, this was even longer than that because
I'm thinking just before 2012, it was quite popular to stock up.
Well, I mean, like, okay, so this was still during the 2016 election, so that even further back than I thought. By the way, Aunt Jer, maybe talk to your brother about that because I genuinely don't know where to go from there.
He calls his gun his girlfriend. I love it. You know, people name their guns and name their guitars, whatever.
It's
kind of cool.
That's just the name I gave on the fly because it's a compact little boy. It makes sense. You know, the little boy. That's really a fucked up naming system I chose there.
We give things that we value nicknames, right?
I keep a 22. Because if I shot anybody with anything else, it's extremely illegal where I live because it has to be for home defense, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I grew up in LA, so I'm like relating to much of what he's saying. I now live in Orange County, which is the next county over from LA County. So that would be between LA County and San Diego County. So I went south of LA County.
The one thing that a lot of people don't know about California gun laws is that if you had a registered firearm before a lot of the laws were into effect, they get grandfathered in. So you're able to keep said firearm, or they really legally, there's nothing they can do to you except for tell you like, oh, don't wave it around. Quite honest. Like,
kind of a good idea.
Still America, you know, but we just have strict gun laws here.
We have strict gun laws where I am. You're not supposed to be able to get anything really other than a pistol. But I remember living in Olustee, and they didn't really have very many gun laws. The rules were don't shoot people and don't hunt outside your fucking license.
Okay, so what Aunt Jer said makes sense about the gun is called my girlfriend thing. I get that now.
Ah, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Code makes perfect sense. That's great. But I mean, like, so I'm working at Walmart and I'm selling this 18-year-old's wet behind the ears fuckwit his first hunting rifle, because even then that's all Walmart sold at that point. So this dumb little boy makes the mistake of saying we need to buy up guns now before Hillary makes them illegal, because this was still the point where it was a foregone conclusion that Trump would lose the election. He said that, and me on the cash register, you know, getting the gun ready to go because he passed the background check because he's an 18-year-old fuckwit who has nothing against him yet.
Right.
You know, I hear him say this, you know, this, we need to buy them up before Hillary makes them. And I'm just like, you filled out that application and got approved in 15 to 20 minutes. You're one of my fastest approvals. Do you want to take this again and tell me it's too hard? It's taken me longer to purchase a fucking laptop computer.
Right.
Yeah, that little boy and his daddy both shut the fuck up real fast.
Yeah. Oh, man.
It's too hard to buy a gun. You know what? I wish that it were as difficult to purchase a gun as it is to get a driver's license in this country. I wish it were.
Here we have hardcore background checks, and you have to wait a while, and it's still easy to get a gun.
Yes,
it's easy to get a gun, and we have some of the harshest laws in the country.
Yeah, I absolutely stand behind a 3-day waiting period. Period. End of discussion. I don't care if you're me and you want to go hunting tomorrow. You know, fucking, you don't need a gun right now. You can delay the hunting trip 2 days. It can be done.
Well, and also most decent hunters, if they know that there's going to be a waiting period, they're going to be doing all of that prep anyways.
Yeah,
right.
From my experience, having lived in a hunting town, they would prep for days before a big trip. The prep would start a full week before they even left. And we were living next to the fucking hunting grounds. I'm not kidding when I say I could walk 5 minutes and be on hunting grounds. I was told to wear a vest around my goddamn neighborhood because they were just like, we don't want hunters to accidentally think that you're, not see correctly and think that you're an animal and shoot you. So here, have a vest.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to relate to, but I believe you. It's like, there's a duck. Did you see her hair? Must be the hair.
See, when I was in high school, I was in that kind of quasi-urban but kind of rural too area where students would bring guns to school because they were going to go hunting.
Okay.
Home.
It's just lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah, it's lifestyle. And no, that place was not semi-urban. That place was the stick.
Yeah, I don't even have any clue what that's like. See, I grew up under a rock, and I like being in a city amongst many people because my whole childhood was isolated from society at large. So to me, going out in the middle of BFE and finding joy in that doesn't sound attractive.
Oh, there were some perks. The food was damn good.
I enjoyed living out in the middle of nowhere, but it gets to you after a while.
It does get to you after a while, but I do admit I fucking miss the food. I miss having venison. I miss having venison in my freezer after the only. Huh?
What state was this?
Florida. I lived in Olustee for a little while.
I have bad news for you. I live in Ohio, and the deer get fucking huge here.
But see, the thing is that
competition
the thing is that because I'm in a city now, though, it's not as easy to do. But the thing was that when I was
small,
when I was living in Olustee, all I had to do was show up during the butchering and tell them, "Hey, I'll help clean part of the kill if you'll let me take some of it home." And we never bought meat because I would be like, okay, because they wouldn't let me butcher it because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And they're like, nah, you're not fucking this shit up. But if I offered to clean it, pack it, label it for them and be like, and do the work, they would send me a share of it home. And I fucking miss that aspect. Now, the rest of it I don't miss, but I do miss the food.
See, there's a butcher near where I live called Al's Meat Market, and this dude he'll take what you get on the hunt and he'll clean it up for you. He'll grind it, he'll chop into the steaks, whatever you want. He'll use every bit of the meat that he can possibly get off of the deer, the turkey, whatever it is you bring him. And this dude makes crazy money off of it. I'm surprised that he's the only game in town.
So this is almost a lost art, isn't it?
You know what? Not too many people can stomach it. My brother lives in Montana, and he met his wife when he was in the Air Force. She's from the UK, and they live in Montana, and she's little, and she's one of the only people that will butcher a full deer.
Oh, damn.
And she's like 5'5", 95 pounds. She's little. And if you put that thing up on hook, she'll cut that whole thing.
She knows her stuff. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Right on.
Do you have your friend's wife's number? I'm a terrible person. I'll admit it outright. God damn, That's sexy to me, actually.
Oh, it's my brother's wife, and it's the cliche. No, it's the cliche that my brother's the crazy Iraqi war vet. You know, it's the cliche. He goes out in the woods and paints his face. You know, he's one of the.
See, I actually remember when I was a little kid, my dad used to hunt deer. And I mean, he'd bring back some amazing deer, by the way. I mean, these fuckers were just huge. But like it was not an irregular occurrence in my household to for me to walk out to the garage and see a deer hanging from the rafters being bled out. It was not irregular at all.
Yeah, see, I'm not sure if I could kill it, but I think once it's already butchered, it's like, okay, that shit's dead. It doesn't matter anymore. It's food.
See,
I would be like, yeah, no, I'm not much for killing this thing, but it's already dead, so might as well. I don't think I would be grossed out mentally, although I'm wondering with my smell sensitivities now, now that I'm thinking about it, that might set off a migraine for me now. So I might be more wussy than I think I am.
Oh, no. Okay. So here's a little trick for you. Just go to like a mortuary and be like, hey, what's the stuff like? Because they've got stuff they rub under their noses to eliminate smell. Be like, what do you use? And go on Amazon for that shit.
That's a good idea, because the smell actually gets to me worse than what something looks like. Like, I can handle often what something looks like, but if the smell hits me, I'm a fucking goner. I can't even handle fish smells in the house. I can't cook fish anymore. Because unless it's like salmon. Salmon's the only one that doesn't set me off.
See, I'm one of those people. I'd bring home a deer. I would do the whole thing. I'd save everything. The bones I would find a use for. The skin I would definitely figure out how to rig a tanning rack.
Yeah.
It's definitely something. It's something to watch.
I just want to say I can see everybody's comments, but because I'm on my phone, I cannot answer by typing in. So my apologies.
Yeah, that's the one thing that StreamYard is not terribly helpful for.
Yeah, Bub can type into it from StreamYard, but I can't.
Yeah, no, I actually am the only one that can type in from StreamYard as far as I know. I don't think guests can. But
yeah, I usually just go from my phone. Even when I'm streaming, I type my phone.
Well, see, here's the thing. Because I'm in StreamYard, it's screwed up the YouTube. And when I go on YouTube, I can't see the live chat on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't do that from my phone while I'm on StreamYard. If I have my computer up, which I don't, because I just didn't feel like dealing with it, I could, but I don't like dealing with two different things, electronical things at the same time, unless I have to.
Sounds like you know your limits. Nothing wrong with that.
I'm gonna take off because I'm gonna go 420, and I'm gonna go to bed. This has been one of the most adult 420s I've had for a while. I wanted to like scream and act dumb, but like, adulting, as they say.
I have a hard time adulting too, so endure your evening.
I know. I'm probably gonna wait till my kid goes to bed, and then I'm gonna 420 extreme like we used to.
You're gonna blaze it hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's about 7:30 here in Southern California.
Yeah,
almost.
Exactly. But
my evening is beginning.
My kid has crazy erratic sleep habits, so he'll be out soon.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, King scored. Have a great night, guys. Thanks for letting me be on your stream, as always.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. I
See
appreciate
you later. All right.
Good to see you again.
Night.
You know, it's funny. Earlier, I made a point about like in the chat. Chauvin said that he was going to put on a shirt, and I was like, "Yeah, it'd probably actually boost my channel if he didn't," because he is a good-looking dude.
But yeah, and that's the thing I think that also kind of plays into this too is your attitude about guns. Because
Yeah.
the attitude about guns here in the city is completely different from when I was living in Alusty. In Alusty, you occasionally had gunshots involved in domestic violence disputes, but for the most part, if you heard a gunshot, it was because somebody shot something in their yard. And it was considered a tool for killing, but it was a tool for killing animals, not for killing people.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, the culture that I have around guns, they're not toys. They have one purpose. You know, like there was a friend of mine who was not treating a firearm with its due respect. And I straight up told him, if you continue to treat that gun like a toy, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, that was actually something that the neighborhood kids were taught. They actually were allowed to go to the range and learn how to use guns as early as legally allowed, but they were like, this is not a fucking toy. You ever use it as a toy, we will make your life hell.
Yeah. I've got an 11-year-old nephew. When he was about 8 years old, I introduced him to the gun I had, which is not Little Boy. God, I need to not call it that. I need to find a better name. but like, I showed my nephew the gun that I had. I told him what it was. I told him what it was for. And I told him that he could hold it if I was around. In the past 3 years, he never touched it more than once or twice. Because I explained what it was and why it existed.
Yeah, so many stories you hear about what happens with kids who accidentally shoot themselves is they were curious.
Yeah.
They were curious and wanted to know how it worked because kids like getting into things and they like knowing how stuff works.
Yeah.
And so
I'm happy to pull my gun apart from my nephew. I'm happy to show him all the little bits and pieces, how to take it apart, put it back together, how to use it. I'm happy to do all of that because I want the kid to be educated. I want him to make smart decisions. But all these people that are like, no, guns bad, period, end of discussion, that's just going to encourage curiosity.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is that I don't understand why adults don't realize this. Because it's like, do you remember being a little kid? Do you remember what all the shit you got into that your parents had to try to talk you out of? Or like, you just wandered off 1 second because you saw something you were interested in and your parents blinked and you were halfway across the yard. I mean, come on. Kids get into fucking everything. If you try to hold back information, that's not going to work. They're going to find out one way or the other, and sometimes that's the hard way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even happy to take my nephew to a gun range, of which there are plenty where I live, because it's Ohio. Let's face facts.
Yeah, Ohio is weird. It's.
Yeah, I'll take the kid to a gun range. I will never take my sister to a gun range again. But he more than earned that distrust.
Yeah.
So speaking of getting into things, I can remember my sister and I, as little kids, my parents had some guests over in the living room or something, and we're just kind of doing whatever in the house, and in the bathroom, we discovered these things that, well, it had a little thing that you could pull off and it stuck. And it was like this mattressy thing, right? So we put them on the bottom of our feet and thought they would be great to like kind of, ice skate or something. And we had wood floors, and both she and I came out and, look, Mom, look, Dad. So we're just going across the floor with my mother's Kotex.
Oh, jeez.
Sticking to the bottom of our feet. And we're thinking we're just the coolest of everything.
The funny
yes,
thing,
kids get into everything. It's like,
the funny thing with
what we can do with this.
the funny thing with my parents was my dad assumed that I could get into anything, and my mom assumed I couldn't. So anytime my mom wanted to hide something, I usually found it. I never found Dad's hiding spaces. I found one, and it was a big ass chest, like one of those trunks that you see in old movies.
Okay.
And I tried to get into it, and it was locked. And I was like, "What's in there?" And he says, "None of your business." And then with my mom in that same closet, I looked up and saw all of my Santa gifts one year, because she just assumed I wouldn't look up. And I was just like, "Good grief, you two!" Like, at least Dad knows what the fuck he's doing.
Well, yeah.
I don't know who GH is, but I really like his comment.
Yeah, I've never seen GH in one of my streams before, but you're welcome here anytime you want.
It's like, you know what?
Basement, yeah, because
it is a good year.
Yeah, because he's a piece of shit.
I just wish Trump's basement was like on a deserted island away from everyone. That's my only real wish.
I would say with no access to Twitter, but
yeah, he already doesn't have access to Twitter. It pisses him off still. I actually kind of like one of my friend's ideas. She was like, "You know what? We should do what YouTube does." And she basically said we should give Trump his Twitter back, but have him on mute so he can scream into the Twitter void, but nobody sees him.
See, okay, so this was a couple of months ago. Trump tried to get onto one of his daughter-in-law's Twitter.
Right.
And then it got shut down.
Oh, jeez.
Like, I know Twitter's stupid, but come on.
Well, and that's the thing, is like, it's like Twitter would have been following any other account that looked like him, because it costed them money at that point. Because if we're being honest, that's the only reason why Trump got kicked off, was they were afraid of lawsuits.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. And you know what's absolutely
You mean it had nothing
hilarious?
to do with what was considered disinformation?
What's absolutely hilarious about that is the GOP was bouncing around a law, and they never went through with it, but they were bouncing around a law that said that if you were caused harm by somebody because of something that they said or did on a website, you could sue that website.
Oh, boy.
So the moment that they started bouncing around that law, that's when a lot of the right wingers got kicked off of Twitter and YouTube and stuff, because they were like, "Oh shit, now we could be accountable," and said, "Nope." And it's because the right wingers were writing up a dumb law that was going to kick themselves in the nuts.
Okay. That timing sounds about right too.
Okay, Purple, I didn't think about doing that because it was not really that ingenious. And also, I didn't want to get in trouble with my dad, because you'd never, of the two of them, like, I was scared of my mom, but I never wanted to be disappointed. My dad to be disappointed in me. Like, I could handle mom being mad, I could not handle dad being disappointed. It was a weird child.
That's very common. There's a different level of disappointment when it comes from dad. I agree with you.
But Yeah, no, I mean, the disinformation had to do with it too, but I mean, he was allowed to get away with it for so long that, like, that was part of it, and also him egging people on, but he did that multiple times before he was kicked off. And it was basically partially because he wasn't the president anymore, partially because they were afraid of being liable, and partially because it was starting to not be worth it to keep him on.
See, and you know something that I just thought of that I think's funny as hell? I've got the two people on who said they had controversial opinions, and they're not controversial at all.
Okay, you are not seeing my fucking Twitter right now. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. And
I'm
I
sorry,
think
I'm
this
not
also has
controversial enough. I'm so sorry.
Here's
I'll
the
work harder
thing,
at that.
though. Here's the thing, though. Maybe it's because I'm a white girl and the people I'm seeing getting attacked right now are some of my black acquaintances.
There you go. That'll do it.
I just realized that, and I'm kind of slow on the uptake tonight. Because I'm realizing that a lot of my acquaintances are getting people being like, well, this and that and the other, and I'm just like, could you just shut up and let people be?
Like, it would be great if the Tammy Larins and the Greg Gutfields and Ben Shapiro's of the world would shut their fucking holes.
I want to go and punch Nancy Pelosi in the face for what she said.
Oh my God.
What happened? I missed all that. I was out of the loop. What happened? Can you fill me in?
Tria, please let me tell Linda, because
I will.
didn't tell it last time. I want to tell it this time.
Okay.
I think that's how it went.
It's that good. Thank you.
I've been drinking. I don't remember how it went, but Nancy Pelosi irritated me so much with what she said.
Okay, do tell.
Nancy Pelosi at a congressional Black Caucus presser. I feel like I need to say that again, because that fucking idiot was invited to a Black congressional caucus presser. Nancy
Can you explain
Pelosi,
to me what a Black Caucus presser is?
Okay, you know what caucuses are in Congress?
I don't know if I do or not.
Okay, so like the super oversimplified, probably partially incorrect idea of a caucus is like a group of people that represent different blocks. You've got the Black Caucus, the Free Thought Caucus, which represents atheists. That sort of thing. That's the oversimplified idea of a caucus.
Thank you. That brings me up to beat. Thank you.
Yeah. There are definitely better definitions out there. This is just like a quick and dirty kind of thing to get the idea across. But Nancy Pelosi, who I just wish would retire so badly, she was at a Black Congressional Caucus press event, and she thanked George Floyd for his sacrifice so there could be justice.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, there's monumentally stupid, and there's what Nancy Pelosi did.
Well, okay, she was one of the people who thought it was a great idea to put on kente cloth and do a kneel in solidarity, and it was just like, you don't get the point at all, do you, hun?
No, she doesn't. She wants to bandwagon on shit because she wants to stay relevant.
Well, and also it also screams, this is what I think you want, not what you've told me you need.
Yeah.
It really does. And that's why I said earlier, I do not want you all to follow me for advice. I have other people who have been doing this longer and have the experiences. And like I said, when we're done with this, I will definitely say, hey, these are people y'all should be following. I'm probably going to put it in private chat because I don't want to put it like out there for them to wind up getting the wrong people's attention. But yeah, I will, like I said, there are people who know what's going on, and we should actually be listening to the people most affected as to what their needs are, not deciding we know what that is.
Yeah.
And that's what Nancy Pelosi did, as well as trying to make herself relevant.
Oh yeah.
Fucker.
Okay, so when you were talking about this taking a knee thing, are you guys talking about like last year after May 25th, this taking a knee thing that was going on amongst the police and everybody?
Yeah, the Democrats got together, got some kente cloth, and there's a photograph, and you can probably find it pretty easily if you Googled it, where they were kneeling on Capitol Hill in solidarity. And it was just like, y'all really missed the fucking point there.
Okay. I probably did too. And, you know, I'm just some white chick here, old lady grandma here in Southern California. Well, but when I viewed it, I saw that as a form of de-escalation and maybe even compassion. So I'm wanting to understand how you viewed it. You viewed this and why, because I'm open to that.
How it was viewed was, okay, there's a difference between what we do as citizens and what people in power who can make the changes can do. And the list includes listening. Yeah, that shit.
There's the picture. Okay.
That shit.
That cloth. Okay.
Yes. That cloth was taken out of context. And
so you'd have to fill me in on why and how, because I'm seriously ignorant and need to, you know, I'm really coming from a place.
They were using it to make themselves look better.
Okay.
And it wasn't theirs to use to make themselves look better.
Okay.
It was not theirs to use to make themselves look better. 2, they weren't listening to what people were asking for. And 3, they did that as a performance. There was very little to no action afterwards. It was just a show.
Yeah, that's like I hate to bring up memes, but sadly it's disturbingly accurate. Like with the Black Lives Matter movement, you have black people saying, please stop killing us. And Republicans just say no. And Democrats respond with no, #BLM, #rainbow emoji.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they have the
power. They have the power to change shit. They are in office. They have the power to change shit. They don't need to bring awareness. They need to do their fucking jobs.
Yeah.
They don't need to show solidarity. They need to do their fucking jobs.
They don't need to show solidarity?
No, they need to do their fucking jobs. They don't need to perform. That's why I say they don't need to perform. They need to do their fucking jobs. They need to go into the office and make the fucking changes because they can. They have the power to.
You can show solidarity by actually, you know, being in solidarity, which is not what Democrats are doing.
They're putting on a performance.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I did was because I wanted to be in support of, you know, I believe that Black lives cannot matter. I mean, I believe that all lives cannot matter until Black lives matter. So what I did was I took many pictures and put it together and put it on my Instagram. So I documented some of what happened historically, and that was my way of support, and my way of solidarity, because I mean, I'm pretty much not physically able to be out and about, and everybody just went on lockdown, and no, I wasn't going to go show up there physically.
See,
but that's how I showed my support.
I would say
my
what
solidarity.
you did was more of an action than performative show of solidarity. You did what you could.
Right.
Yeah, there's a different. That's where the line is.
Okay.
If
And
you cannot, you can't
Okay,
go
I'm seeing
in
it
and be
now.
like, I'm going to change the laws, because you are not an elected politician. You
Okay.
can vote better. You can support
Mhm.
people who are going to protest. You can speak out, but you are not the people in charge who are making the rules. They are. They
Yeah.
need to get their asses in gear and change the fucking rules.
So they have the power to just, and I'm very ignorant about this, and I want to just add, I grew up in a cult that we were not allowed to vote and did not pay attention to any politics whatsoever. So as I left when I was 18, I then had 3 kids and was so busy that I didn't know enough about politics to vote. And just told myself I have no business voting. And so I've only started really, really paying attention maybe over the last 6 years. So I'm kind of, so that's why I'm asking you the questions from pure ignorance. And
yeah, that's
wanting
understandable. That's why I'm saying the difference between what you can do and what they can do is extreme. There is a very big canyon between what you can do and what they can do. So
okay, I agree. So my question is like,
where the problem lies.
What did you say?
What is performative to them is direct action to us.
Okay.
Like,
so
when we
are they in a position to see a need and actually come up with a law somehow?
Yeah.
And make it the change? Like, I don't know how many steps that would take, but they're the people that can do that shit, right?
Members of Congress are the ones who are able to propose bills for law.
Okay. And since that knee bend, have they done anything to do that? To change any laws that would support what their actions did that you have seen?
Not really. Not really.
Okay.
There's a couple.
Now I'm catching your
and that's
place
the
that you're
thing.
coming from.
Yeah. That's the thing. I feel guilty sometimes because I cannot go out and protest because I can't afford to get harmed or lose my job. I lose my job, my sister loses her support. But what I have wound up doing is if I know friends are going to protest, I make sure that they have the supplies that they need. Mm-hmm. Or if I see somebody that I know well enough that knows their shit, if I see them talking about something, I make sure that I try to boost them up and make sure that they have the space to talk.
Yes.
Those are the little things. Mm-hmm. That's what I can do. If I have a little bit of extra cash, I usually find a bail fund. I have written to congressmen. Those are the sort of things that people who are not elected officials can do.
Okay.
But elected officials have elected officials are considered leadership and therefore they have more responsibility.
Okay. That makes sense.
Something which they very rarely take action on.
Well, I have some news that here in Orange County, California, like on Easter Sunday, there was flyers being just dropped off in people's yards in like the city of Newport Beach and Huntington Beach, advertising a Ku Klux Klan gathering. And I'm very impressed with the Huntington Beach leadership. And they just automatically went into, oh, hell no, we are not allowing this bigotry. And that's exactly what they called it. Good. And Orange County is known for, back in the day, being very white supremacy. Okay, it's just and it hasn't been that way in a long time. And I believe since Trump took office, just his position of power allowed many to just rise up from out from under the, tunnels that they were practicing in.
Yeah.
So when this went down, I was really pleased to see the city of Huntington Beach say, yeah, no, this is not okay.
And the thing is that the extremists came out, but I've also noticed that people who consider themselves moderate have also fallen down into showing their true colors, because I think they were just hiding it because they didn't feel comfortable. And that's what pisses me off the most, is there was encouragement to be a hateful asshole during the Trump administration. And I get that you don't want to, I get that people don't want to have to guess, but at the same time, there's a fine line between not wanting to have to guess and people feeling comfortable with going out and acting on their bigotry.
Yeah.
I when I was watching stuff go down, let me just say, to me, it looked like half of the country was involved in the cult I grew up in. Okay? It was gnarly to see. It was very us and them. It was very black and white. It was many cases of bullying and name calling like I've not seen since I've been in the cult. And that was these tactics that are used to manipulate behavior and action. Even simply being told that we should wear our masks as guidelines and suggestions. That's a form of behavioral control, even though it wasn't made law. It was made a strongly suggested, which is how many rules show up. And I'm not taking an anti-masking or definitely wearing a masking position in this. I'm just talking about what I saw go down systematically scared the holy crap out of me, because I've learned these tactics, and it was just like, oh my God, just the scariest shit I've ever seen since I left my cult. And to see, it going on was just like, wow. Did you experience any of that relating to Mormonism? Because a lot of the same techniques are used in both of our cultures of origin.
I have definitely noticed patterns that I do not like overall, and not all of them have to do with like the past 4 years.
Okay.
Did we lose Bub?
Nope.
No.
Okay. So some of the things that have kind of gotten to me, one of the things that I've brought up before that I did not feel comfortable with was and I'm hoping the military people in here don't go at me. I do not see any value in you have to stand up and put your hand over your heart for the flag, no matter what. Because to me, I can completely understand if things are so bad for you in this country and your life is complete hell. I can understand not wanting to stand up to the flag. I get it, especially the way we teach it. We teach it that you have to, no matter what. And if you don't, you get socially ostracized to a huge degree. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, and I know the whole military spiel. Trust me, I'm a military brat. I grew up with it. I grew up in a military family. But it's like, but the fact that you socially have to sounds very much, yeah, I saw you, Bub. That you socially have to, the extreme to which it is taken kind of weirds me out a little bit. Now,
So I actually sort of want to address what you said. Bearing in mind that I myself am a military veteran who, actually, I'm glad that I never deployed. I'm glad both of my deployments were taken away from me, because fuck, I saw some people come back fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what? If you don't want to stand for the pledge, I fought for that shit. I fought for it, whether at the time that's what I intended to do or not. I fought for it because I fought for your ability to speak. I fought for your ability to express yourself. I fought for your ability to protest. I fought for all that shit. And every military member who stood up and put their hand on their heart and took the oath of office, which actually, in matter of fact, is what people in the military do. That's what we fought for. Because that's what the First Amendment stands for. So if you don't want to stand up for that, guess what?
Yeah, my family comes at
Thank
that from
you.
a different angle. They came from we fought for our country, and the flag is a representation of our country, and therefore you shouldn't ever disrespect it in any way, shape, manner, or form.
Fuck
La,
that.
la, 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 la. Yeah, and
Fuck that.
that's why I said I hope I am not about to get angry
You know, it's
military people at me, because I've heard both ends of that.
I'll stand behind you all fucking day.
But that's the thing, is that feels the way that it's handled feels, because look what happened to Copernic. Copernic decided to kneel, and all hell broke loose.
He lost
and he was
like,
and his attitude was, what the fuck else am I supposed to do? You didn't listen to anything else.
Yeah,
we've been trying to do.
He's a black man. He was told that he had to protest peacefully and respectfully. Well, he did that.
And was still torched.
Did that.
And was still torched.
San Francisco 49er. And he lost his career because Republicans are such pussy-footing, wimpy-ass pieces of shit, craven bitches.
Let me ask you this.
Come after me for that. I dare them.
So, because when I've read about that, and I haven't looked thoroughly into it, from what I gathered, he did this on the time of being an employee rather than on his own timing, and that his own timing would have been more acceptable. But I can understand why he would do it on the timing of being an employee, because that gets a greater audience, and that's where his peaceful protest can be seen.
Here's the thing. Right? I heard that once or twice, but do you want to know what I heard mostly from family and friends who are football fans? How dare he disrespect the flag, and how dare he do it during my football?
You know what? I have the perfect answer that's absolutely going to piss them off. First Amendment.
Kind of hard to do that, considering that there's only one aunt I still talk to. Remember how I said I've cut off most of my family except for my Mormon aunt, which I question why she's still in fucking Mormonism. She's too good for that church. she's better than that entire organization.
It's just a matter of, have you figured a way out?
Yeah. But the mask thing too, that irks me, because people, I think, having leadership that knew what the fuck they were doing, that cared enough to know what the fuck they were doing, would have set an example. And that would have lessened the amount. I still think that in certain situations, mask mandates should have been put in place. Not because of cult following, but because people have shown that they're willing to kill other people as long as they get to do what they want.
Yeah.
And I am tired of that bullshit. I am fucking tired of the cruelty. I am tired of it happening. I am tired of watching it. And I'm just, it's angry. I wish I could go around.
Well, it was this time last year that Trump was having people rise up and protest to not wear their masks. Remember?
Yeah, I remember. I'm still dealing with that. I have family members who refuse to wear masks. I have family members who didn't get vaccinated, didn't wear their mask, and went to Hawaii for vacation less than a month ago.
You know what? Let me put it to you this way. If there ever was a person who could argue against mask mandates, I am among the top 5%, maybe 10%. I have asthma and I have sleep apnea. I can't breathe half the time unless air is literally being shoved into my lungs. If anyone's going to be against a mask mandate, it's probably me. And I'm not. You know why? Because I've fucking had COVID.
Yeah.
I went from not being able to breathe in general to I'm wearing my CPAP mask during the day because I can't breathe and I need air shoved into my lungs.
Now that was resourceful. Oh, that was very resourceful.
But that's the thing is like people are like, oh, Trump is gone, it's all better now. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm still dealing with my anti-vaxxer family. A good portion of the people that I'm acquaintances with, a good portion of the people that I'm acquaintances with that I cannot cut off for one reason or another are anti-vaxxers, anti-mask. And it's partially because of where I live. I live in Florida. It got bad down here. Hi, I live in the land of DeSantis. Please save me.
The land of what?
DeSantis. He's my governor.
Ron DeSantis. What a great guy.
Oh, yeah. He's talking about running for the 2024 presidential election. Please, for the love of God, do not vote for him. Yes, None of you. If I find any of my friends are voting for him, you are not my friend anymore.
Yeah.
Because this POS is literally trying to kill us for money.
Yeah, there was an Ohio representative. I don't remember her name. I wish I could because I would love to shit on her directly again. She said something about Ohio voted for Trump, so let's follow Greg Abbott's example and lift mask mandates and open the state 100%. I responded to her directly. Like I retweeted it too from my own page, but I responded to her thing directly. You know what? I'm a military veteran and an Ohio citizen, constituent, and voter. If you're gonna try to kill me, at least have the guts to do it yourself.
My thing has been one of the things that I watched with the vaccine rollout, and he backtracked hard because he was like, "Oh shit, they're really mad, and I'm going to lose my position because I've made enough of my constituents mad that they're against me on this one." But Publix made a donation to DeSantis right before the vaccine rollout, and it wasn't a very big donation. It was something like 10 grand, which for a chain like Publix, that's a fucking drop in the bucket. For a man like DeSantis, that's a drop in the bucket. That's like me passing $20 to a guy on the street. It's a drop in the bucket.
I could use $20.
But then shortly after, we got told that the only place that was doing vaccines was Publix. And here's the kicker. Publix is not, there are literal food deserts in Florida. There are actual food deserts where for a food desert means that you cannot, that you do not have grocery stores.
No, I know what a food desert is. What?
There are 4 food deserts in Jacksonville alone where it's impossible for you to go and get food unless somebody comes and brings it in for you, because either the buses are fucked up, or because there aren't grocery chains within that area. But there are food deserts here in Florida. And having a grocery store be the only place where you can get a vaccine, those were some of the hardest hit areas where it was like, we don't even fucking have a Publix. How do you suggest we get there to get our vaccines? And we're talking like the hardest hit economic communities in our state. And they were like, we don't, and what about the rural areas that don't have Publixes out there? What the fuck, man? And so then he was like, all right, I'll change it to like multiple grocery stores. Cause like CVS and Walgreens now have offices where you can see a doctor. And there's like, basically it was, okay, shit, man, there's tons of places you can open up. I know it's hard to coordinate between all the different levels here, but come on. This should be child's play. And then we found out that after he opened up to more stores, he started diverting the majority of our vaccines to wealthier areas where his donors were. Because the Publix thing didn't work.
Tria,
Mm-hmm.
I would like for you to take over a video for my channel and talk about this bullshit. I really would, because this is insane to me. I mean, like, please tell me you have Veterans Affairs medical centers in your state, like numerous Veterans Affairs medical centers.
I believe we do. I haven't looked because my dad does not use them. He's been told that he has to have a civilian doctor now, because
okay. Your dad is a military veteran?
Yeah.
Military veterans, regardless of VA status, according to the Save Our Lives Act, which was recently passed, gives military veterans, regardless of status, to get the COVID vaccine. Please tell him that.
He is an anti-vaxxer. It won't work.
Fuck.
Remember how I've kind of been going off on my Twitter about how I'm kind of distancing myself from my dad, even though we're living in the same house?
Yeah.
It's because I've basically been told I'm not allowed to express my worldview because it makes him angry, and then he reacts at me and yells at me.
Your worldview that you want to be physically safe?
Among other things, yeah. And before anybody jumps in, I have looked and trying to get out of here, but that ain't happening. And it is not happening. And it's not because of my little sister. It's because of where I live. Unless I can get out on my own, which is not going to happen. There's no way I can afford to have a place of my own. I'm looking at the chance of hopping from this house where I have to hide everything into another house with Christian roommates where I still have to hide everything anyways. So I might as well, and plus on top of that, I would lose Elmer and lose a chance at being able to pay for therapy, hopefully, because whether I move out or not, I kind of need it at this point. So, but yeah, no, my dad is going down the Tim Pool, Ben Shapiro pipeline. I've tried that. It doesn't work. He's not reasonable anymore. There is no reasoning with him. And emotional bargaining ain't working either. I've tried.
In Ohio, where I'm at, the VA has gotten to the point where they have opened vaccination to spouses of veterans.
See, and that's the thing,
is
the like
VA here in Ohio.
My sister and I are getting vaccinated next week. We were supposed to get vaccinated last week, but we were getting the J&J vaccine. The thing is that it's not that that it's not free or that it's not accessible in the sense that we can't make an appointment. We had a ride coordinated and she was willing to take us. And then the vaccines got pulled. So now I'm having to coordinate with a bunch of different people to try to figure out who has what opening when so that I can go and get vaccinated. The plan is we will definitely get vaccinated. We will get vaccinated within the next week, but it's just a matter of, okay, who is not working when, or who is, because it all fell into place easily last week, and then the J&J vaccine got pulled. And I understand why it did, but it's hard for me because most of these appointments are made a day out. It is hard for me to sit down and be like, hi, I need a ride tomorrow. Because that doesn't, like I said, it people are willing. It's just finding the right person at the right time to be able to take us. Because I can't walk up, even though the Walgreens that we're going to is right around the corner, I can't walk my sister up there. We can't make it. I can't walk that far right now because I'm sick. And
how many miles is it?
Huh?
How many miles is it?
It's like 2 miles away.
Okay, I'll PayPal you or something because I'll send you whatever the taxi fare is because that's
Okay.
you need that shit.
Yeah, we do. And that's why I said it's been hard to fucking coordinate because we had all of the pieces in place. And then when I went to call and say, hey, we got canceled, can we do another time? It's like, I can't do it on a day's notice, which is understandable. It's completely understandable. And I hate that Medicaid has it set up and to where you have to give 3 days notice, and they're not making an exception for vaccines. You can't. It is fucking ridiculous, especially because they're not making appointments 3 days out.
I have no problem sending you cab fare. I'll do it as long as you and your sister can stay safe.
Yeah. But I'm pissed at my dad because it's like he's like, oh well, I will look into that and see if that's if we should be eligible for that. Because if we're just going up to Walgreens, I won't need to put my sister into a wheelchair because they'll just drop us off there. We tend to avoid free Uber rides if I have to put her in the wheelchair because a lot of times drivers will just drive off. If they see the wheelchair, they'll just drive off, and you can't give a wheelchair option on Uber, which I understand if you don't have a car for it, but it's, but yeah.
I can't walk half the time. I need a fucking cane to walk, and I'd put a fucking wheelchair in the trunk. I've got the fucking ratcheting straps. I can bring the hatch down so the chair won't fall out. Like if you can do that and you just drive off, if you see someone's got a wheelchair, fuck you.
Oh, they do that to people with service animals too. It happens all the goddamn time. Some people with service animals have to wait for 3 or 4 different drivers because the driver will just cancel on them.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Why do you think I said I've been having trouble? Why do you think I've been saying that I had a little bit of trouble coordinating? I don't know where to look to coordinate, and my friends love me, but it's kind of hard to figure out.
I can really empathize with you right now. And before I had a car, which I've not been able to use for about a year now, but before I had that car, I qualified for something called Access, and that would give me rides here or there. And I had to make the appointment a day ahead of time, and they would show up equipped to handle those in wheelchairs.
Yeah, we have something similar to that here, but you have to order it 3 days in advance. There's no day before. It's 3 days in advance. And JTA will pick you up, but the thing is that they put you in a bus with 20 other people, and some of them may not be wearing masks. And that is an exposure that unless I absolutely 100% have to do, I really don't want to do to my little sister.
Yeah.
I've kept her
just
far away from
putting that out there.
Yeah. No,
just putting that out there.
Yeah. It's 3 days. It's Medicaid is 3 days in advance out here.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, I'm pissed off at my dad.
So I'm surprised your dad doesn't pull the whole forbidding the two of you to not.
He knows better. He fucking did. Okay.
I'm sorry.
I am my mother's daughter, and he can forbid all he fucking wants to when it comes to my sister's health, but then I can throw it back. Hey, you put me in charge of her health. Let me fucking be in charge, or get out of my way.
Good for you.
See, I don't understand people that refuse to help other people. I don't fucking get it. Like, even as a Republican, I still would go out of my way to help people where I could. And like, it's where we're at in society. I'm at the point where both of you know that National Sexual Assault Day is coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm gonna need to be off that day.
Oh, you're gonna need to make sure wherever you're at, you have a shotgun facing forward day. But yeah, Saturday is National Sexual Assault / National Rape Day because a bunch of chodes on Twitter decided that's what it is.
Okay, yeah, thanks for the warning, because I didn't know. And yeah, no, I'm gonna be completely offline that day.
Yeah, so
and probably go private. I don't typically do because I like making sure that people who aren't necessarily following me have a chance to see me. But no, there's no fucking way.
Yeah, it's at the point. Unicorn Cat works on a university. I won't say what one because that would pretty specifically give away where exactly we are, and neither of us want that. But I have offered Unicorn Cat's boss to walk each and every employee to their vehicles, to their ride, to the dorm. I don't care. I've offered to, escort everyone that works there safely to where they need to be.
Yeah,
that's
no.
how fucking bad it is.
I will check in if people want me to check in, but I will be fucking offline that day.
Yeah, I would appreciate you checking in with me because I'm protective of my friends. Like anyone I can physically protect, it's okay. Aunt Jur, yes, not National Sexual Assault Awareness Day. The second one.
National Sexual Assault Day, as in
that
thing to do
out there who will go out of their way to.
Oh no. Okay.
Because TikTok is a wonderful place. And even if this is a joke, it's not a joke.
No,
so
it's
this
not
is
a
like
joke.
The simple fact is
some wicked shit.
The simple fact is that weekend I will be carrying around my weapon that I will find a better nickname than Little Boy for. And if I catch anybody in the act of National Sexual Assault / Rape Day, there are going to be some people that aren't in this world anymore. And I will happily remove them from it. Incidentally, I also will be bringing jackets with me to give a symbolic level of protection and I don't know. Like, imagine me throwing a poncho over someone who, has just been attacked. That'll be the intent of me having a jacket or a poncho.
Well, I pity the fool that decides to fuck with you.
Yeah. Because I if it's the right situation, I quickly become pitiless, and I don't care if you're
good.
not.
It's actually good to hear when need be,
Yeah, this entire upcoming weekend, I don't care. Unicorn Cat is not going to be left alone. I will regularly check up on my family, which in the immediate area is just my mother and sister.
Well, I'll let you know that I'm going to be safe because I've been doing this whole shelter in place thing ever since it came into action and have only left the home for maybe 3 times. Okay. I'll still be sitting here in my home. I ain't going nowhere. So I should be okay.
I'm happy to leave my humanity behind if it means protecting another person, because that's ridiculous. This is not okay. It's not a fucking joke. Within the
isn't this like called incitement to, violence or something, or like doesn't this fall under some kind of forbidden something?
Well, so within the last month, oh my God, Unicorn Cat was assaulted. They've spoken about this fairly openly on Twitter, so I'm okay with talking about it now. They were assaulted. They were waiting for me to get there to pick them up from work, and they were assaulted. Like, I didn't get the full story until 2 days later. Like, that night, Unicorn Cat says, I have a funny story for you. I pepper sprayed a couple of guys.
Did she really?
Well, but yes.
Good for her.
Them. I've been drinking, so I'm being weirdly pushy about that, but Unicorn Cat's pronouns are he, them. Sorry.
He, them, thank you.
Yeah.
Good for them. Good for them. Thank you.
So I'm about to turn left to leave the campus, and Unicorn Cat tells me that I turn right instead. And I'm like, no, you need to call security. You need to call the police, get people there. By the way, I wanted to kill the campus security guy so badly because this dude was completely dismissive of them.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, well, you shouldn't go randomly pepper spraying people.
Really?
Fun fact. I purchased that pepper spray for Unicorn Cat for a specific purpose. And I know Unicorn Cat's not going to use pepper spray outside of that specific purpose.
Right.
And couple of days after that, Unicorn Cat goes with their boss to give campus security their side of the story, and this same fuckwit. I genuinely don't understand why Unicorn Cat wasn't given a female officer, despite me specifically saying give them a female officer to take care of their case. But this same person, Unicorn Cat, has this habit of going around not wearing a bra, which is totally their choice. And this same security officer, who, by the way, was a cop for 26 years, but guess what? Idiot, you're gone. I'm assuming we all saw that in the comments.
I missed it, but I'm glad you took care of it.
Some idiot said, free Derek Chauvin now. Fuck him. And fuck you for saying that. By the way, moderators that I have in the chat, feel free to drop the ban hammer. I don't fucking care. This isn't a goddamn joke. But this guy 2 days later, after Unicorn Cat gave their statement to campus security, this same fuckwit said, well, maybe if she wore a bra. I have 2 women in my live stream right now. Discuss. This is all yours. Have at it.
Yeah, no. That's blame shifting and blaming the victim. And that officer should know better.
Quick interjection. 24 to 26 years experience as a cop. Several of those, at least, as a sheriff, not sheriff's deputy. And the previous 4 years, currently to 4 years in the past, have been a security officer at a college campus.
I doubt a female officer would use that terminology.
The female officer that this campus security has on staff, singular female officer. Just one. Only comes on at night. So women are screwed during the day. Female presenting or female/feminine presenting people on campus are screwed.
Okay, so let's get real here for a minute. Campus security is going to do more than likely anything possible to squash this right away. So this needs to be reported outside of the campus.
Has been.
Good. And things have already been documented on campus, so that's good too. And I'm glad to hear that. I'm very glad to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, and fortunately, hey, Jesus Wizard, you're my kind of person. So, yeah, at least in the county I live in Ohio, police are taking this seriously, partially because our sheriff, not deputy, but the actual sheriff, has seen posts on social media of people seriously talking about National Sexual Assault / Rape Day.
I am really glad to hear that.
I'm depressed to hear that, and I'll tell you why. I'm depressed to hear that because not everyone is giving it its due seriousness.
Well, and also cops generally aren't that helpful when it comes to that kind of thing. I'm glad they're at least bringing some attention to it, but honestly, cops don't help with that. There's a reason why we don't report to cops very often.
And I don't blame you at all. Not even slightly. By the way, chat, this B person, block them. Because I'm getting some kind of issue from StreamYard. Derek Chauvin is a piece of shit. And white supremacists are not welcome on my channel, period. End of fucking discussion. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would like to bring up back when we were talking saluting the flag, okay? The culture I grew up in was Jehovah's Witnesses, and they actually don't salute the flag. That's actually part of their doctrines, and the reason is because they consider it an act of worship. Okay, so there was a case called West Virginia State Board of Education versus Barnett, and this was back in 1943. And it was a landmark decision by the United States Supreme Court holding that the free speech clause of the First Amendment protects students from being forced to salute the American flag or say the Pledge of Allegiance in public school. So this happened, and I grew up daily having to not salute the flag simply because I was, informed of what my beliefs were. It wasn't like my own conscientious decision. That's how you grow up. You're just told this is what we believe, and I have to act accordingly. So there's that. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say there's been some things that have gone into court for people to not have to salute the flag if they don't see a reason to do so.
There's a difference between a legal thing and a social thing. And sometimes they bleed together, and sometimes legal stuff does affect social stuff. But I can guarantee you that if you were at a baseball game with family who is not Jehovah's Witness, and you decide to not salute, the pressure is very, very high socially.
Actually, you're right. I grew up with a family who would go to these places like just to see an ice skating show, and it would start off with a national anthem. Please stand for the national anthem. We weren't allowed to even stand.
Yeah.
And you know what kind of social atmosphere we got? People cussing us out. People cussing us out. So, and I was a kid. I didn't, I was like, what's going on with that dude? I had no clue that I was behaving in such a disrespectful manner to whoever that gentleman was that was yelling at us. It was very, I mean, would that be a social situation that you're talking about?
Yeah. Like I said, I do it, but the thing is that I'm doing it to preserve basically my, to not rock the boat when I have so many things I have to rock the boat about. I can only handle so much. I can only deal with so much. I can only deal with my own mental stuff and the stuff that I have to fight in this house. So I just do it. But to be honest with you, with all the bullshit that our country has done in the past, since the beginning, and it has gotten marginally better, but only marginally in 400 years. I kind of don't. I'm kind of ashamed of my country. I am. I'm not really proud of it. I am. I love my home. I love my home state. I love my home. But as a country, I feel like we're failing spectacularly, and I kind of don't want to act like we're doing great. I'm tired of pretending that America is such this wonderful, beautiful utopia and the best in the world, because honestly, we're not acting like it.
No.
I hear what you're saying. And I agree with you. Is that the hill you want to, choose to die on? And if not, that's very wise of you. I get that.
Yeah. I mean, within the time frame that I can remember my family being alive, my grandpa on my dad's side fought in World War II, and he remembers a time when the Germans were very, very wrong. By the way, my family has immediate German descendants.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, my grandfather was the first generation German family born in the U.S., which
Okay.
means his mom or dad was born in Germany, and he
Mhm.
fought against Germany.
Wow.
Actively.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
I mean, he was on a tender ship in the Navy, which meant he repaired battleships, but still, he came back from Europe with Maltese crosses, shit that goes on the collar for SS uniforms. He came back with shit.
When he served?
Yeah. And it wasn't a point of like some weird German pride. It's no, I fucked up fascism.
Yeah, they were trophies.
No, they definitely were trophies. And
oh, thank you for putting in that context for me.
they were trophies. Like,
okay.
hey, I came across this shit. We fucked up some people that were on the wrong side of history. Fortunately for me, my family has a history, in this case, of being on the right side of history.
Mm.
Yeah.
Even though for a short time I was not.
But yeah, I especially lately, having dealt with a lot of my family, finding out just how racist they actually are. Finding out that they were cool with a lot of the stuff because it didn't affect them. And just, I'm not going into a lot of details, partially because I don't remember all of them, and partially because I'm just not having a good time right now. But pretty much my family, I'm like, I'm cutting ties to all of you, and I'm keeping one or two of you because you're decent people and I like you. But my family is, no, I'm done with them.
So Purple brings something up. Yeah, right. Support staff should not be minimized. I mean, for every fighting member, there's somewhere between 8 and 10 people in the back line that are supporting that war effort. It literally would not be possible without support staff.
Yes.
It's just, as a military veteran, it's fun to shit on those people.
I was about to say, every sector of the military shits on every other sector. Like, it honestly does. Even within the same branch of the military. Like, honestly, my dad worked in, I think it was return and repairs, what it's called. Basically the warehouse. He would basically go to the logs, figure out where something needed to be shipped to, slap a label on it, and then the other people would take it to different parts of the base, either to get returned because it was too busted up to fix, or go to repairs because you could repair it. It was repairable. And basically everybody else on the base shit on them because they were just like throwing around boxes. And then they'd shit on the pilots for not being able to throw around the boxes. And it happens everywhere in the military. Everybody shits on everybody else. It just happens.
It's a thing. It's, you know what, the best sort of idiom I ever heard was, you love your brother, but you hate to be called by your brother's name. That's what it's like for the different military branches. So
I've heard nobody fights like brothers.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah.
We'll shit on each other all day, sure, but you fuck with my brother, you're dead.
Yeah. But Aunt Jer asked earlier if I was doing okay. I'm okay-ish. It's just the subject earlier turned to something that I struggle with and have been struggling with a lot lately. But I'm okay. I'm just a little bit off. That's all.
Within the culture I grew up in, we were not allowed to serve, and it was told to us as being our own conscientious decision. So we were considered conscientious objectors, and yeah. So many Jehovah's Witnesses back in the day actually went to jail, and that was their faithful, act to Jehovah.
See,
Yeah.
I actually think it's bullshit that they went to jail. Because
I do too. But then again, I'm anti-draft.
Being a conscientious objector is something that should always be a right granted. Like, I don't care what your religion is. You can be completely secular. No, I'm a conscientious objector. Okay.
I'm not sure what's
wrong with not wanting to kill another human being. Nothing at all. Outside of my Republican dumb young days, I haven't wanted to kill another human being. Like, at this point in my life, I've killed exactly the number of human beings I want to, which is 0.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that not very much of my family is Mormon. To be honest, it's only really my dad, his siblings, and their kids, and any of those children. Like, that is literally the only part of my family that is Mormon. But almost all of them, except for one who was male, went into the military, because in Mormonism, you're expected to go and defend your country in some capacity if you can. And if you can't do military, you're almost expected to do some other civil service. It's actually written in their scripture that defense of your home, aka your country, your state, and your city, is actually a righteous act.
Okay.
And so a lot of people in Mormonism actually go into the military. Hi, Randolph.
Hello.
But
Hi, Randolph.
yeah,
Hi.
it's weird because the way they do they look at patriotism and defense is really weird, because they believe that America is a land blessed of God, and whomever rules it has a right to rule it because God gave them that right.
And isn't one of the goals of Mormonism to eventually rise up into power to become, say, president and such?
Yes.
Yes,
It's actually one of the things that scared me during the insurrection was Mormon leaders were hedging their bets. Senator Mike Lee, if the Mormon Church didn't like what he was saying, they would have found a way to make him very, very unpopular with the Mormon Church. They would have.
They have that kind of clout. Okay.
No, the Mormon Church isn't a joke.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
If see, here's the thing. I don't know how often it happens, or even if it happens at all. So don't take this as me saying that it does happen.
Okay.
But consider this. Let's assume that the Mormon senators actually believe the Mormon Church is bullshit. There's a high possibility that they do.
Handmaid's Tale.
And then let's say that they love their families, and let's say that all of a sudden you get a call from Salt Lake City, and it doesn't have to be the prophet, but it can be somebody high up that you know is high enough up on the totem pole. And they can say, hey, this kind of doesn't make the church happy. We can make you very, very unpopular at home with your constituents because we have the money, power, and influence, and Utah is practically a theocracy.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it
And
is.
also, we can take away your temple recommend, which means that in the afterlife you lose your family. Do you really want to piss off the prophet?
Huh.
I was about to say planet, but that might be Jehovah's Witnesses.
No, that's Mormon.
Now, was
No,
it the
and
Mormon?
it's not planet, and it is not planet. Do not get me started because I am salty on that mess.
Now, is it
Then
the
forgive
Jehovah's?
me. Forgive me.
Is it the Jehovah's Witnesses or the Mormons who are recently discovered as having hundreds of billions of dollars, or is it both?
It's
The
I don't
Mormons.
know. It's the Mormons. The Mormons have 300 billion.
Wow.
Here's the other thing too, and that's why I'm saying, like, they don't have to do it overtly, but they do have that power. Now, do they do it? I don't know. But the
Okay.
possibility that they can kind of scares me.
Right.
I mean, you might have access if you had a penis.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I would not have, because I was ace, and as an ace, I was a second-class citizen because I wasn't marriable. I wasn't able to be married off.
Okay,
There were certain.
And you pretended.
Huh?
If you had a penis and pretended.
Yeah. But even so, that's higher up stuff, and you have to be a certain level, and you're probably not going to get to that level unless you're fucking family.
Okay, that's fair.
It is family. All of those people who are up in those high positions.
Yeah.
Look and see who the founders of the church were. Look and see who the prophets were. Look and see who the apostles were. Look and see who the general authorities were. And you'll notice a pattern that most of them have ancestors that were part of the original founding of the church. It's kept in the family. And this is also how people are kept in line, because the prophet is the only person who has any control over any of the assets of the church. He has to die. And so if you piss him off, you get thrown out and you lose all of the benefit of that he gives you. Like, they don't give them money, but somehow there are houses that are paid for. Money is never directly handed to anybody, but somehow they're servants for your big mansion.
Right.
You know, that's why they have over $300 billion, because they've not been just giving it away.
Yeah, they keep it amongst their top 12, maybe in the next set down, I think the quorum of the 70. They keep it between them. And I mean, you may or may not have to pay taxes on the house. I don't know. But if it does, like I said, you don't have to pay for the property. Property's already owned and paid for.
If it's owned by a religious institution, then they'd probably be tax exempt, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
Some things with Mormonism are tax exempt and some things are not. It is extremely complicated because the Mormon Church has, I think, 12 different subsidiaries under there, and some of them are nonprofit and some of them are not.
Oh, okay.
They have Deseret Bookstore, which is considered a nonprofit. They have their beef industry, which I don't think is nonprofit. I think they do write-offs for their Bishop Storehouse, if I remember right. I don't know. It's extremely complicated.
Yeah.
It's because City Creek apparently is owned by the Mormon Church, I think, but it's definitely a for-profit company. It's the one that owns them all. Either they own it outright or they loaned the money to make it. I don't quite remember. Like I said, they move and shift stuff around so much.
All the
It's hard
time.
to keep up with.
Yeah.
It is hard to keep up with.
Yeah, it's a strategic cycling thing that, somebody in the higher ups, even above the prophets, is orchestrating this probably.
In
mean, that's-
Mormonism, there's nobody higher than the prophet, and he is the only one who owns anything. Like the rest are
Okay.
on loan. This is why you cannot overthrow the Mormon prophet, because the way it was set up was there was they were trying to figure out how legally in America to take a church property and pass it down so that people wouldn't lose the property if they didn't have money for it. Like basically, like, okay, well, we need to know who owns this land, so that when the person who owns the land dies, oh, it is money laundering. Trust me, it is.
Oh, big time, yeah. The
But
organization I came from does a lot of that too.
But
yes.
the solution was for the preacher or pastor or founder to own all of the assets and then have a beneficiary when they die. It's called a corporate soul. And
Yeah.
Corporate soul?
Yeah, corporate soul. As in a
Okay.
sole person owns the quote unquote corporation.
So it is incorporated, but a corporate soul owns. Okay, that's interesting.
Yes, but it's also considered a nonprofit because it's used for churches. It's also severely outdated and easily abused, and most places are not allowed to start a new corporate soul.
Oh. So this is something they used to be able to actually register in the government.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the Mormon church got grandfathered in when those rules changed. So the prophet owns everything. All of those assets.
They got all the money to protect that grandfathering. Yep.
Yeah. So he owns everything. So if you get out of line, you lose everything. If you're up top, you answer to him. You can disagree with him to a certain extent, but if you do too much, you can be thrown out. And most people like their comfortable lives, so they don't do it. They just go along with it until it's their turn. Because all they have to do is wait 5-10 years for the old guy to drop, and then, if I'm next in line, I can just wait. Because, I mean, I'm sitting in my mansion already. I'm just guaranteed it. I just have to wait for a little while.
So if this corporate soul status was at some point not renewed, would that be particularly harmful to the Mormon church?
They don't have to renew it.
No, but I mean, if it was discontinued at some point.
If it was discontinued, I don't know what would happen. They're rich as fuck, though, so I'm sure they'd be able to buy their way into something else.
So they probably have been thinking, well, it's inevitable, it's going to happen someday, ride the gravy train as long as possible. It won't be a surprise to them when it happens. They probably have an alternate plan in place already, like you said.
See, but in the U.S., money owns politics, and at least
Utah,
it won't be discontinued. Yeah.
Let's put it this way. A bookkeeper got mad at the Mormon church. He was working for one of the charitable arms. He got mad at the Mormon church. He decided, fuck it, I'm out. But not just fuck it, I'm out, but I'm going to turn over every piece of information that I have about what they're doing illegally in this particular nonprofit branch, and say, hi, they have $100 billion stashed here, and they used it to charitably donate to insurance companies.
Wow.
And the IRS said, whoop, well, I guess there's nothing we can do. Literally, that's what happened. It is well documented that is what happened. And the guy knew his stuff.
This interests me about the insurance company stuff because here in British Columbia, Canada, we have a Crown Corporation, which is basically a government corporation that runs all the car insurance for the whole province. So there's no private insurers here. It's all provided through this. And it's actually quite a good system. We have some of the lowest car insurance rates in the whole of Canada, and comparatively lower to a lot of places in the US too, as I understand it. And there, once in a while, we get these conservative politicians who get in, who run on this campaign of getting rid of ICBC and bringing in privatized insurance. I'm starting to wonder if there's a connection with the Mormons there.
I honestly don't know about their dealings in Canada. it's hard for me to keep up with their bullshit and the bullshit that we have going on that isn't Mormon.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I get news about what they're doing in other countries, it's my British friends who find the whole thing, from my point of view, fascinating and have talked to me about it. But that's the thing, is that they're rich old white men with billions of dollars. So nobody's going to go after them or do anything. And plus, on top of that, we have a hands-off policy about religion. And it's not just Mormons.
Oh,
There's
Muslims, everybody. Yeah.
I mean,
I wouldn't say there's a hands-off policy necessarily for Muslims, but definitely in fucking Christianity. It doesn't matter.
There is for the Saudis.
It's just now in the U.S. that the Catholic Church is starting to face any backlash. Just now.
Yeah, and same with Mormonism. And most of the backlash isn't from the government; it's from Mormons going, "Wait a minute, this is bullshit. I don't have to put up with this anymore."
Yeah.
Because, like, for instance, this past weekend, there was an excommunication trial for a sex therapist in Utah. But the thing was I'm going to give you a little bit of background. When you are Mormon, you do not choose your congregation. You do not choose the building you go to. You do not choose your pastor. You do not choose what time you go to church. That is chosen for you based on where you live. With that information, she moved a year and a half ago. I don't remember from what state, but she moved from one state to Utah. And her bishop did a power play and decided not to move her membership records over. Waited for her to get settled in Utah. Waited for her to get her basically open up shop.
Get her business established.
And then sent her a letter saying, "Hey, in a week we're excommunicating you. You need to show up back in this previous state you were living in."
Oh, that sounds like it could be dangerous to show up in that previous state.
She showed up. She didn't want to follow their bullshit rules, and so she got kicked out. But here's the thing. That it was such a weird power play because her records should have moved with her. There was no reason for them to hold her records. She was not under any discipline at the time. They were not starting any discipline at the time. Her records should have moved with her.
You know, this sounds a lot like communism.
No. Communism at least has benefits.
It's very one way. Worse than communism. Holy cow.
But
this is a theocracy, right?
Yeah, this is a theocracy.
In communism, you don't get to choose your career. You don't get to choose where you live.
I don't know about that. I don't know because I don't really know that much. But I do know that that's often used as propaganda for our country to keep doing the bullshit that we're doing of running people into the ground.
Because I know people who've lived kind of when they were children, they were in that kind of environment in China, and their parents have talked about it and said that's how it was. So it's some other people. So
that's authoritarian, and like I said, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, but I'm just talking communism. Don't worry about it.
That might be the similarity.
I don't want to detract from what you're saying. So,
but the thing was that by rights, putting her through the trial was ridiculous. The reasons that they gave were ridiculous. I don't think anybody should be excommunicated unless they've done some heinous shit.
What do you mean? Mormons have rights when they have those judicial meetings? I'm sorry.
Well, I mean,
we have them and have no rights. I'm just like, wow.
Okay, if somebody is a mass murderer, you should be kicked out of the church.
Right.
There's one of my lines. My line is not, this person is a therapist who is basically teaching people sexual health and helping mixed faith marriages, and the church doesn't like losing their control over people's sex lives, and therefore they're calling her in for a trial. Like, that's bullshit. Especially because, by rights, even if they decided that they were going to do that, they should have done that in the area that she lived in, because she's fucking not allowed to go to any other ward building except for the one that she's assigned to.
Yeah.
So
That's
it
the
should have
part
been
that
done
sounds
under her current bishop.
That's the part that sounds like communism. Is she still in Utah, or did she move out from there too?
She's still in Utah, but and like I said, I don't want to compare it to communism because I don't know enough.
Yeah.
And also a lot of what we think about communism is highly propagandized here.
Yeah.
And I'd like to sort out the propaganda before I. Because
I'm not jumping based on propaganda. I know people who've lived in it, so
yeah,
I'm on their experiences that they shared with me. But I'm just saying that one character trait is like that, where they don't get to choose where they live and stuff like that. Yeah.
But the thing is that
I can understand why you're saying what you're saying, though, darling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you're being reasonable.
It really does. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Totally.
And that's the thing, is like they were losing their control, and she wound up going on a rant on Twitter, which actually kind of solidified her position. And there are people who are actually leaving not because they agree with her, they think that she should have been excommunicated, but because they dragged her from her state in order to do a fucked up trial instead of doing it with her home bishop. Like, they basically said, oh wait, anybody from any ward we've ever been in can now call us away, when we can't even choose who our bishops or our congregation or our pastors are. Like, that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, that was definitely a power play.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a power play.
And then you said she was a sex therapist, is that correct?
Yeah, she's a sex therapist in Utah, and she also helps people with mixed faith marriages. She basically tries to keep couples from breaking up if somebody leaves Mormonism, which the Mormon church does not like unless there's a chance of dragging the ex-Mormon back in. And she's not telling the ex-Mormon that they have to be dragged back in order to save their marriage.
Ah, okay.
She also has associations.
Yeah,
she also has associations with John DeLade, which I have my own problems with John DeLade, but associating with John DeLade should not be an excommunicable offense, as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, the only reason you should ever throw anybody out is if you have done something heinous and it causes harm to other people, and you have to remove somebody from your congregation in order to protect everybody else.
But there's obviously something they were not liking that she was doing. She was that they wanted to, squander. What do you think that was?
They want Mormons to not go to her because if she's excommunicated, then they won't go to her for help. And she's in Utah.
Okay.
60% of Utah is Mormon.
Okay, so they've successfully destroyed her business and reputation.
They have not yet. We are waiting for the results. However, they've wrecked themselves because people are leaving because they saw it as a serious overreach.
Why do you think she was targeted in this? Like, from what I've come to understand, within authoritarian cults, sexual behavior is very, very oppressed, to where there's only certain things that are acceptable, even amongst a husband and wife or whatever. That's just a thing that they do. And I'm wondering if
she was teaching them consent.
Oh, I can't have that.
And masturbation. And also you don't have to leave. You haven't lost everything if your partner leaves the church. Let me help you navigate how to find middle ground instead of you being dragged, instead of the church's stance of pushing for people to split up when
the common underlying theme there is that people are free to choose for themselves. I can see why the church would see all of that as a threat.
Yeah. Yeah, and also she's a woman doing this. And also, fun fact, her ex-husband is located in the ward boundaries where she was pulled back to, and is also friends with the 2 leadership members who called the meeting.
There you go.
That's a good old boy stuff.
Connected. Sorry.
Yeah, and
I can just see it now. The good old boys club has figured this one out. Yeah,
and there's stuff, and like I said, there's stuff that I disagree with how she went about it, but they're minor and not worth being excommunicated for.
So what she would be offering the members is actual solutions that they might not even be aware of before seeing her.
Yeah, and also empowering them to be able to say no, because the Mormon Church hates that.
So this thing about consent is huge.
Yeah, and also people taking charge of their own sexual health.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty huge.
You know, she's trying to pull them out of the 1950s. That's all she's doing.
I would argue that the Mormon Church is farther behind than that.
See, the Watchtower is also very similar to this. Very similar to this.
Well, and
like
I mean,
their
the mindset is similar. The methods differ slightly.
Oh, absolutely.
Hi, Pirate Kitty.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi,
but
Pirate
yeah.
Kitty.
Hello.
And I don't even remember how we got on this tangent. Or where to go from here.
So Homegirl got dragged back to a judicial committee under the Mormon leadership, and she was kicked out. And then
she's not kicked out yet. She was kicked out from her proceedings, but she is not kicked out of the church. They will tell her a week from now, while they've already made their decision, because that's part of the power play. But she was not allowed to defend herself in the quote-unquote trial.
Oh, they're working from a place of insecurity, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, within the Watchtower, it's a 2 to 3 man elders.
Oh, only 3?
Yeah, and then there'll be 1 person that has to answer to them. And if they appeal, then there'll be more elders.
It's 12 people.
But they get no representation or anything.
It's 12 people.
Okay.
99% certain that the decision is made beforehand. You can have 3 defenders with you, but they have to agree to the rules as they walk in. These rules are not told to you before. And people can write letters of recommendation for you. But here's the kicker. It is to make you feel isolated as fuck. Because even though you have the 3 defenders, you have 12 people in front of you, and they're reading off a list of charges. This is why I call it a trial. They list off your charges. They list off what they're accusing you of. They give you 40 minutes for your own defense.
Wow.
And then they deliberate. They deliberate while you wait in the hallway.
Watchtower needs to learn from them, man. Wow.
But that's the thing, is like, that's why I call it a trial. They do treat it like an actual trial.
Right.
And the thing is that they make you jump through the hoops and go through the motions, but I can guarantee you that 99% of the time the decision has already been made before you even hit the room. And nothing you say in that room is going to matter, the whole point is to make you feel isolated, humiliated, and shamed. Now, if you don't
Yes.
care anymore, it does nothing. But if you do care,
Yeah, pressure is high.
the pressure is high.
I remember taking connecting bus to high school each day, and there was this one place, a connecting place. I'd be waiting for the bus, and there's these two ladies there with holding up Watchtower magazines, and they would try to convince me and ask me questions, and it was fun. And I never went into any of their church stuff. In retrospect, I'm glad I never got suckered into it.
Me too.
I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, John. They do want to keep you in unless you're too much of a nuisance.
Oh, Gian is asking in the chat.
Yeah.
I didn't know that cults kick you out. I thought they wouldn't let you leave.
I was one of the, because I wasn't a big enough of a nuisance and because I didn't want to deal with an excommunication, because that would have implications for my little sister, and her social status at church. And also, I didn't want my dad to know what the fuck I was doing online. Because anybody who's followed me for any length of time knows that I don't hold my punches when it comes to the Mormon church. I'm nice to Mormons, but to the organization itself, my thoughts are pretty goddamn clear.
And
so
I like that you've made that distinction. That's, yeah, I totally agree with you.
The thing is that when I was trying to leave, I was afraid that they would try to do an excommunication trial because my dad would feel obligated to go regardless of my feelings, and they would list off the things that I had been doing online and tell him. And he would have to try, and he would feel obligated to defend me, partially because of the whole patriarchal bullshit, but also because I'm his kid.
That happens in the Mormon church? The father
they tell people
would defend you for doing things that they might not agree with you on?
My dad would show up. My dad would show up. He may not be my defense, but if he was called to show up and say something and be there because I am a single woman.
Right. Headship thing, yeah.
He would be asked to be in there, and I would not be able to tell him, no, I don't want you in there, because like I said, he would be like, no, I want to be there for my kid. Screw how you feel, I want to be there for my kid.
And he's entitled to be there if that was the case.
Actually, I should have the choice as to whether or not he would be there, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In the Watchtower, they use disfellowshipping and disassociating and kicking out as a manipulation tool to get people to come crawling back. And what power that they have is that the whole culture will shun them, ostracize them. And if you think about it beforehand, that was their only culture to begin with, because the teaching is, very us and them, very, black and white, us the good guys, them the bad guys. So them being anybody outside of the Jehovah's Witness religion would be the bad guys that are under the influence of Satan, the devil. So they never really get close to people outside of that culture. So when they are excommunicated, they're usually SOL.
Yeah, well, and
they don't have anybody.
Mormonism does the same thing on a lesser extent. The thing is that how it works is your excommunication trial is to manipulate and silence you, because active members are less likely to listen to you after you've been excommunicated.
Yeah,
they just are.
That makes sense.
But here's the kicker. You don't get the "you're dead to me" unless your family chooses it. Like, it's not a doctrinal practice, but it varies. Really? Like, I am out of the church officially. I'm out. They have something on my permanent file that said, "This bitch said I'm out."
Okay.
I am still living with my dad. And he will still stick up for me in some respect, no matter what. because I am still his kid as far as he's concerned.
That sounds like
Granted,
something called blood is thicker than water.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
Doesn't
slightly more complicated than that. Or, you
Okay.
know, he thinks I'm doomed, essentially. And there are some things that I'm not really allowed to see around him because it angers him. And it's stupid, but whatever.
I
But
get it.
yeah,
I get it.
it's complicated. But here's the thing. I know people who once they were out, they lost everything. They lost their job.
Yes.
They lost their family. They got divorces. So it depends. It's not a mandate, but you do get distanced at the very least. Like there's some shit that I can't talk to him about because it's criticizing the church, and you can't criticize church. He won't listen to it. I can say it, but he won't listen to it at best. And if he's having a bad day where he's being temperamental, he'll fight me on it.
Yeah.
I just want to point out, this is a complete and utter tangent, but blood is thicker than water does not mean what you think it means.
Good. Please correct me.
It's the actual saying is blood is thicker than the water of the womb.
The blood of the covenant. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
Is that what it is? Because I heard it was something that had to do with basically people who fight in war together and shed blood together.
It's also a originally pagan sense where people would make oaths with each other, and it doesn't necessarily always mean fighting, but it probably started that way, but it doesn't necessarily always mean fighting.
So,
but yeah, it is oath based.
So it's
basically found family.
Don't I get this straight? It's the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Is that what the saying is supposed to be?
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea. I've never heard of this before. It's so
covenant. Can you fill me in on which covenant this is talking about?
I'm assuming that it would mean like I said, I'm assuming it would deal with oaths, but I don't know much more than that. I've been told the basics of that, but it's basically like your found family is more important and your chosen family is more important than the people you were born to.
In summary, ideas are more important than people, which is of course the wrong way around.
Well,
no.
When I had first
go ahead. I'm sorry, Pirate Kitty. You've been trying to talk.
When I had first like looked for the full quote, I got a web page that said the full quote is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. That's right. I messed that up. And it said the original meaning of the phrase was bloodshed on the battlefield creates a stronger bond between soldiers than simple familial or genetic ties. So that's where I was getting what I had said from.
Well, yeah. And the thing is that I actually agree with that because I look at my blood family, my relatives, and I don't want to have anything to do with them. I just don't at this point. They're a mental strain on me. I can't be myself around them. I have to closet myself. They're not family. If they were family, I wouldn't have to shove myself so far into a closet.
Mm-hmm.
But with my closest friends, I can be fully myself. I can be who I am without having to closet myself or keep. Basically in this house right now, I cannot talk about anything other than video games and D&D.
Oof.
I mean, at least those are decent topics.
Yeah, but I'm also at the point where it's like I'm stuck here 24/7 until I get vaccinated, which I am going to do. I'm not going to put that off. And if I have to take a taxi and ask for help, I will.
Yeah, and again, I'm happy to give you that help.
I just signed up today because they just opened it up for everybody, and now I can finally get registered. So
yeah, I've
been
having trouble because all of the appointments are only a day out, and it is difficult for me to get a ride with only a day's notice.
Yeah.
So
I know this is gonna sound.
Who dat?
Unicorn Cat.
Oh.
This is gonna sound So decadent of me. Hello, Ox. Welcome. Glad you
Ox.
stop in. Unfortunately, we are not long from ending.
Ow!
Uh-oh.
Oh, did she just step on a piece of Lego? Did she step on Lego?
No, I hit my shin on the desk.
Oh, it's
Oh,
all
no.
I'm
you're-
blowing kisses. Mwah.
Congratulations.
It's gonna
you're a
make it
test
better.
detector.
This is
Congratulations, you're a test detector today.
So I know this is I did because I got thirsty. But I know this is gonna sound really decadent of me. But I have a massage at 9:30 in the morning, and for those of you who are thinking, "Oh, that's so decadent. What a bougie piece of shit."
Painting.
Bear in mind, this massage will almost get me feeling to what a normal person does, which is in almost no pain for about 5 minutes.
It's therapeutic. You're seeing an art. Yep.
Oh, they actually are paying for massages? Good.
Yeah, the VA.
Sounds like physical therapy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably RMT, registered massage therapy, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually prescribed by a doctor, so as much as it does feel really, really good in the moment, it only alleviates my pain for like an hour of beating the shit out of the muscles in my body. Makes me feel good for 10 minutes.
It's 10 minutes that you don't feel like shit, though.
Yeah, that's
beautiful.
10 minutes out of how many hours and minutes of the day, the week.
You're talking to someone who also has chronic pain. I get it. Difference is mine can't even be alleviated for a couple minutes.
There you go.
It's fun.
So there is one last thing that I want to discuss before we go, and it is return to the original topic. Laura Ingram.
Oh no.
What about her?
What the fuck I say?
Actually, it's not her. It's a guest on her show, and you know what? I'm gonna say it. He's a token black guy.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Oh no.
He said people are trying to go viral by provoking police, and that it pays to be a crook, because if you get killed by a cop, you get $27 million paid to your family and another 20 on GoFundMe. Disgust.
Yeah, this is bad.
That sounds reckless.
But to be expected, and
show everybody.
And I've seen many things coming up that is very much inciting this kind of mentality, and that's really too bad.
Well, I mean, it helps Laura that she doesn't see black people as people. It's helpful to her.
You know what? Just when you think people can't get any worse. Like I would have expected maybe they'd be like, okay, well, let's not go that far, but nope.
I have gotten to a point where I just assume that unless I really, really know you, you're just a piece of shit person. And then when you aren't, I'm very, very surprised. But at least I've kept my distance long enough to figure it out.
So I'm curious, where am I on that tree?
Hun, I know you. We've been friends for a while.
But that doesn't make him not an asshole. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, there's a difference between asshole and piece of shit.
Okay. I mean, fair.
The only person here who's new to me.
I can live with him. I know him better than you guys. I live with the fucker.
Okay, Alex, I have a problem. I like assholes that make morally great decisions. Like, okay, so people like Bub, Zal.
I win. I'm the winner here.
He wins. Oh, that's hilarious.
It's amazing because I actually have been called an awful person. Like on one level, I get it because I can be a dick, but on another
Can be?
level.
See,
On
that's the
another
thing
level,
is I
That's
don't mind
good.
people being a dick. It's like what kind of like are you being a dick just because you want to hurt people, or are you being a dick because that's just your personality?
It's just his personality. He's just
Yeah, it's just his personality.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, okay, I can deal with that.
And at the very least, I try to not punch down.
May I ask how you and Unicorn is related? I'm sorry if I'm not saying the name
No.
right.
no,
Are you related or not?
no, that would be really weird.
I'm sorry you're sitting
Okay,
in the
that
same
answered a
room.
question. That answered a question for me.
You're sitting in the same room today, and I've other times heard like comments from afar when just curious.
Yeah,
Friends
no, we're
or
not related. We're not
No.
together either.
No,
Okay.
I didn't think that at all, actually.
So let me put it this way. I've seen friends go homeless, and with Unicorn Cat, there was something I could do about it, and I just couldn't see any more friends go homeless.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I actually can relate to that. And when I only had a roof to support somebody, I did. And she's actually moving out soon, but she ended up staying with me for 10 years. You know, it was and I get that. That's kind of a cool thing. And she became very much like a sister to me. We fought like sisters, but we loved like sisters as well. And so, yeah.
That's generous, and it's wonderful, and it's lovely.
Hey, look, there's my stoner ass on Instagram. Look, Facebook, actually.
So
may I ask what we might...
Because this is great.
I don't remember doing that.
Linda, it's nice to meet you. I know everybody else here.
Good to meet you.
Oh no, what are you putting up?
Happy
Great
420
picture.
stoner. I was gonna do makeup look today, but then I got high, so I'm gonna look at my high face. I don't remember posting that. That is a shit selfie.
But for the rest of us Naughty's kids, I know for a fact that the song "But Then I Got High."
Yes!
That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going right now. That's where it took me.
But then I got high. But then I got
What
high.
is it? I was
But
gonna
then I
say
Bub, look, you guys do cell phones, right? Since you guys have all mentioned that song, look for an app called Wombo. It's got it. You take a picture of yourself and then you pick a song and it deep fakes your face singing to that song. And they just added "Because I Got High" today.
That is weird.
Oh, goodness.
It is the funniest thing ever. Yep, that's it.
Hilarious. That's hilarious.
It's the funniest app. I posted one where I made one. I was showing my boyfriend it, and he had paused the TV and he was watching old Knight Rider episodes, and he had this scene where Hasselhoff is playing his evil twin or whatever the hell that character is.
Yeah.
And so I took a picture of it and I put it to "We're Not Gonna Take It" by Twisted Sister. And it just comes across perfectly with that face.
Yeah, that would be perfect, actually. It's a good fit.
No, don't! No.
This is what they call a happy
Now I'm just noting that Linda was talking about fighting like sisters earlier.
Right? It does, yeah. It seems like a sibling thing. So I wanted to know if we have time to like maybe talk about I know you want to end things up, but maybe pondering on what kind of a backlash, if that's the right terminology, that we can expect at this time after this verdict today.
Well, he was found guilty, right?
Correct.
For the Derek Chauvin thing, the aftermath, I want Unicorn Cat to start with that because they have some black friends who have spoken to them about potential aftermath. You want to?
Oh yeah, no. For the most part, so they all. I hate saying all my black friends because I know how it sounds, but you know what I mean, right?
Yes.
I'm not, but all my black friends went out and had a nice party today, like to celebrate that at least someone got some ounce of justice, right?
Right. Good.
And also, like, they were talking about that. So obviously there's going to be celebration within the community, and then us white people who actually give a flying fuck too, of course. But then there's the side of it that white supremacists are going to be pissed off as all fucking hell. So I have had two of my friends, one of which I'm considering a partner, have been very concerned with their safety because they know how some white supremacists are going to respond. So it's a good and a bad. The outcome of it is probably going to put more Black people in danger. So it is something that community, at least from what I can personally see, of course, I don't want to be talking like I'm an expert on it. I feel like a dick the way I'm wording this.
No, I get that you've observed and you're sharing what you've where you're at and what you've just kind of got your finger on the pulse is what I'm gathering.
Yeah, just from what I've seen from the people I know and the people I care about, they're thrilled that someone in the Black community that fell prey to police brutality are getting justice, as we all are, although it's not as much as they deserve. As, you know, George Floyd deserves, he deserves more justice, but there's also the side of it that white supremacists are going to be pissed, and who are they going to take their anger out on?
Right.
Black community, especially ones that are going out celebrating it, rubbing it in their faces. For those of you who are listening and not watching, I put that in quotes because I just know that's something that I'm going to say.
What seems strange to me is that do the white supremacists not take into account who was there with the officer, who were all taking part in it? We're not all white.
Yeah.
Another thing I kind of want to mention is technically we still haven't gotten over the backlash from the Black Lives Matter protests this past summer.
That'll be on.
Those are still happening.
And
there's a lot of anti-protest legislation, and I can guarantee you that is going to be levied against Black people much harder than any of us in this room.
Of course it is.
I think
didn't one of these states just pass one that like you can now run over protesters?
Yeah.
Guess which state?
Was it Florida?
It was fucking Florida.
I didn't want to say so.
It has passed. It has passed. I hate my state.
No fucking way.
This is why you constantly hear me say, I love my home, but DeSantis is trying to fucking kill us all.
Do you not have federal laws that protect people's rights?
Yes.
Great question.
I wasn't making serious question.
No.
It's yes and no, because if you look at it from like actually how our fucked up politics work, these laws will be in place until the federal government fights it, which could be years. So unless they decide to fight it, it's staying there. Kind of like Texas trying to make women getting abortions and thus miscarriages, because there's no medical difference between abortions and miscarriages. I have miscarried twice. It said abortion on my papers.
And not just Texas, but the great state of
Ohio.
You told me about that.
Yeah. I'll get on to that. But I have ADHD and I don't have Adderall.
I have to go, but I'm in my parting words. I'm going to say I think this verdict is a step in the right direction and does send a good message. Yeah.
Oh, I remembered it.
Very good to meet you, Randolph.
Hi.
It's lovely to meet you too, Linda. I really appreciate getting a chance to talk with all of you today, even though it was brief. Thanks for hosting this, B. Mills Above.
Take it easy, man. Thanks for stopping in.
Texas is trying to make it legal to give the death penalty to anybody who aborts and thus miscarriages.
Just like Georgia.
That will stay in place until the federal government fights it, which may or may not happen considering who's in power. They have to decide to fight it.
Yeah. And considering Trump put 3 judges up there?
Yes.
2.
Yeah.
There was Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett.
Okay.
Shit.
Yeah. The Supreme Court is stacked. It's
not.
Yeah.
All these laws are going to keep passing.
these laws are going to keep passing, and there's not going to be anybody to overturn them. And I see Diana in the chat going, "I'm trans. I'm trans. I don't have rights." And to be honest,
too, yeah.
To be honest, that's kind of how it's always been. It was getting better slowly for a split second, but now it's getting bad again. But yeah, no, if Florida fucks up, I'm probably already aware of it, and I don't mind y'all saying, hey, it's happening in Florida. I am trying my damnedest to do what I can without putting myself in danger.
Yeah.
Right, right.
But I am fully aware. Fortunately, one of the heinous bills they were about to pass, the GOP decided, hey, maybe this actually might cost us money, so let's not do it.
Of course, that's what gets, not the fact that it hurts people.
Not the fact that it hurts people. But yes, the protest law did pass because it's basically popular enough that it wouldn't have hurt their chances at shit.
Yeah.
So yes, it is. A cop can look at a group of 3 people and decide whether or not that's a protest.
Yeah, just based off of what they're wearing, what signs they have, whatever.
Yeah. And you can legally run over people now if they're protesting.
That totally
it is now you now get, I think it's 5 to 10 years for protesting now.
That's wild.
In Florida?
Yeah,
we have the right to
Fuck the First Amendment.
Yeah, we have the right to assembly. Oh no, but anyways, was it the lavender lady said something about I'm trans, what are rights or something?
Right.
Yeah.
I had the realization earlier, I think it was on the shorter live about George Floyd, that if I was in another state, there would be a possibility that because I'm 18, not 19, I wouldn't be able to start hormone therapy if I'm starting.
Oh no, there's also one that says that they don't want people to be able to start until they're 21, and I don't remember what state that was happening in.
That's gonna kill people. That's gonna kill trans people. Like,
yeah, and people there are so many people who are wrapped up in propaganda who don't realize that they are. And then there are people who actively want to basically murder y'all. Between the two, there's not enough people who are realizing what's going on, because I live with people who don't want to actively kill people, but they don't understand the propaganda that they have been wrapped up in, and that their fears are being played on.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to talk people out of that, because even if you get them to agree with you, all it takes is a split second for them to roll right back and go back because propaganda runs that deep.
That's why I was just talking to Bub about this in the car. I would love to have a career in like cosmetology or something, but I feel like since I like politics, I have a sort of obligation as an autistic trans person who likes politics to run for office, because there's not enough of us there. And it's a job that I'm happy, going by. So I'm not like being unhappy, before anybody is concerned, but like, I would love to do cosmetology, but I feel like it's my obligation. There's not enough visible autistic people or visible trans people in politics that will fight for us. And that sucks.
And the society is very, very ignorant on trans people and the culture, and all these different things coming up as far as children that are trans, and they think that they're getting started on their hormones at young or whatever. And basically, we need to be educated, because even myself as a lesbian, LGBTQ plus, I as a lesbian need to be educated on this stuff more and more.
Everybody needs more education on shit. Like, that's not going to hurt anything if more people were,
But what I'm saying is, so much of it.
I need to be more educated on trans people. I don't have all the answers.
Education helps, but there needs to be some way. Because, like I said, education does help, but if you've decided to fall into the propaganda, you can give people the information till you're blue in the face, and they won't listen. And that's what I'm dealing with my family. And I see what Lavender Lady is saying. about, oh, they do understand in large part. Diana, the people that I have talked to in my family, at least a third of them really do not know. They actually think they are caring for people by preventing trans kids from being able to transition in any way, shape, or form. They think that that's helping. They honestly, genuinely care. They just think that the way to care is to prevent them from being able to be who they are, because they don't think that way.
I get
Well, that's the
Because
thing. That's the rank and file person. That's normal people.
Yeah.
The higher ups, they've been explained, and they've had it explained to them multiple times
Mhm.
what they're doing and how they're doing it and why it's harmful, and they just want to and they just ignore it. It's
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
you know, how many times can you explain to, say, Ray Comfort a thing, and you'll see 6 months later he's pulling the same shit, saying the same thing again,
Yeah.
despite the
He's
fact
a
that it's been
dishonest
explained to
actor.
him a dozen times.
He's a
Yeah.
dishonest actor. That's
And
why.
that's why originally I said education only goes so far. It's necessary. It's needed, but it
so
only
I'm
goes
just
so far.
so I'm just saying it for, you know, myself or for us if we want to. We can't make sure everybody is, but the more that are and the more that share about it, you know, the more that have our trans brothers and sisters in our lives, you know, we need to be allies for them.
Okay.
And put this crap, like I've heard stories from like Christian you know, the Christian right extremists say that like all these girls went to a slumber party and the next day they decided to be trans. No,
Well,
it don't fucking go down like that.
Yeah.
And I'm
And
not gonna even let that story ride. I'm gonna talk
I'm
against
sorry.
it, you know.
I'm sorry. I don't have a way to type this out, but Diana, think about how when you grew up Christian, you're taught that forms of abuse are love,
Yes.
and then apply that concept to the kind of people that I'm talking about. Not the people who are actively wanting to kill, but the people who think they're helping. We have, as an American society, twisted what we think is healthy and helpful so bad that people can convince themselves that doing the abusive thing is actually loving. I don't agree with it, and it's wrong, but I can see how they came to that position. I can see how they came to that position.
So I actually am going to need to end this one right about now, because those of you who were here at the beginning, you remember when unicorns started going into kind of an autistic fit. It's starting to come back to that because
sorry.
Okay, we don't want that.
So I'm gonna end this one here. These are definitely important things to talk about, and I really hate to cut them off so early.
No, this is important, and I'm glad you're doing this.
It's okay.
Thanks for having me on, and thank you, Pirate Kitty, for that information about the blood is thicker than water.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Talk to y'all later.
Have a good night.
Where's the button?
You too.